their NBA title starting this Sunday at the Garden.
Tatum pull up three is good.
Listen to every playoff game right here. Your home for Boston Celtics basketball. Easy FM and HD1 Boston, 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group station.
Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox got a homer from David Hamilton and outstanding pitching last night in Tampa on their way to a 1-0 win over the Rays.
Hammy has been scuffling. We know that, but got a 3-2 fastball, put a good swing on it, and hit it to the right to the right part of the ballpark. There were some balls hit hard, straight center, but that one just went out.
Alex Cora also saw Sean Newcomb and three relievers combine in a 5-hit shutout. Sox are back at 500 with a record of 10-10 after beating Tampa 2 out of 3. They have tonight off. They'll be back home tomorrow night to begin a 4-game series with the Chicago White Sox. Also, Cora told the media before last night's game there's a good chance both Brian Bayo and reliever Liam Hendricks are back with the big club next week. Bruins CEO Charlie Jacobs told the media yesterday in a statement and an interview with the Boston Globe he continues to have full confidence in team president Cam Neely and GM Don Sweeney. He also calls the franchise's near future a retooling, not a rebuild. The NBA play-in tournament continued last night. Both road teams won big. Dallas beat the Kings in Sacramento 120-106. They'll visit Memphis tomorrow night. Miami won in Chicago 109-90. They get to go to Atlanta to see who the Eastern Conference's 8th seed is. And ESPN is reporting there is a level of interest from Houston in a trade with Phoenix for Kevin Durant. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Catches Law. At Catches, they specialize in helping those who have been injured not only from a one-time incident, but from a lifetime of hard work and labor. Does it sound like you? Visit CatchesLaw.com. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 6:30.
Boston plays here.
Pritchard, half court, it's in the air. He got it! He did it again!
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Toucher
When has that been necessary to fact check?
and Hardy
I am not known as Mr. Fun.
on 98.5.
Hey there.
Sarge GPT going up.
Let me hear you say, boo, boo, boo.
Crush me, mommy.
Say my name.
I'm a robot.
I'm the son of the Pope.
I'm a goddamn drag!
Yeah, good luck, dude.
Nothing like a good tushy.
I love you, and I think you know that.
Excuse me?
Toucher and Hardy
Watch Daddy and Uncle Freddie.
Knocking back some fat and having some fun.
on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Let's go. Leave that happen.
All right, so they want me to get your number.
It's the craziest thing. Hey, good morning. We're Toucher and Hardy, Town Fair Tire Studios. You can watch us live on YouTube, and then it's up all forever. The highlights of all the shows, Alex Barr, Ty Anderson, all our reporters up there. Subscribe to 98.5 The Sports Hub, 617-779-0985. I don't know when we'll get to this until we have Ty on, so we're going to start with a little sports here, gentlemen. Because I'm steering the ship.
Whoa! Goodness. Whoa!
Because we'll do what happened last night, which is rightly things that happened last night in case you're getting up or you're in the car or something and you don't know everything that happened because they spent to the cap. There's a hard cap in the National Hockey League. I don't want to hear it. It's nonsense. So I don't have a problem with the Jacobs' owners. I believe Charlie Jacobs. Even look, he works across the street from the Garden. His father's 85. I mean, how much can his father do? I guess he watches every game and calls him after the game. But there was one thing that I thought was interesting. Because I'll give you my interpretation of it. Because oftentimes, especially with Wallach, if I leave it up to his interpretation, we're going around in circles and the point's lost. Because Wallach is also in very big vacation form.
Oh, my God. Getaway day for Wallach.
Yeah, he went to take a very early dump today. It was... He had an excited dump today. He was very excited.
So you noticed that I ducked out for a second there.
It was the least subtle thing you've ever done. You paced around and then kept looking up at the clock. I keep my eye on you before you go on vacation.
What are you talking about?
You don't know what you're doing? John, you didn't do anything wrong.
No,
I just noticed it.
I'm curious as to what I.
So
I don't
you
remember doing
got up and you kind of
Okay.
like you looked you were acting like you don't know, like not in a bad way. You were just acting like you normally don't act.
Okay.
And you were like kind of pacing around where you sit, and then you got up, and then you like kind of paced around a little bit, and then looked up at the clock, and then I was like, I wonder if he wants to leave for the meeting because he just wants the meeting over with, just to kind of naturally expedite things. And then when I saw you left I went to see if you went into the meeting early, and then I saw that you had left, and I turned to Hardy. I said, Johnny's excited. He's taking an excited dump.
And I just thought you were joking, like it's like, yeah, the pre-vacation adrenaline, and it's going right through him. And I had no belief that that's what you were doing. I thought you were maybe going to urinate at the very most. Could have been going anywhere, but Fred nailed it.
No, I looked at the clock to see if I had time to do that.
I know
the meeting.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not judging you. I just think you should actually kind of like it because I know you like the back of my hand.
It's true.
I do know you. Like
That's
from
scary,
6 to 10, I know you. I don't know, like everything about you. Like I can't judge you like your kids and
Can't
wife
like
can.
name his kids.
That's true. But from he doesn't say their names a lot. They're twins. Well, they're kind of the same.
Right. Boys.
From boy twins, right?
Right.
So from 6 to 10, you call your I know you're the name of your kids, but you call your son Boy all the time.
Yeah, the boy.
The boy. So from 6 to 10 in the morning, Monday through Friday, I know Johnny like the back of my hand.
Calvin, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it's Calvin.
There you
Yes.
go.
I'm very fond of John, and that's what I'm saying. He didn't do anything wrong.
And somewhat fascinated by him.
It's not fascinated. It's just I get a kick out of like the way he is before vacations. I think I've expressed this many times. It doesn't obviously it doesn't bother me at all. I think it's funny. I think it's cool. I think it's cool that he gets this excited. It's fun to me.
I will say this. I hate travel day. I don't know how
I know.
you guys are. I
yeah.
can't stand travel day.
Well, you're going to Europe too.
Well, that adds another layer of stress to it a little bit because it's planes, trains, and automobiles literally for the next 24 hours.
Yeah.
So to get to my sister and her family, but the other part of it is I just stress about getting to the airport for trips like this. I have about 18 things to do. Of course, I've left everything for the last minute, so I have about 18 things to do. Small little ticky-tack things to make sure everything is taken care of before we go.
Toiletries.
Yeah.
Got to get a passport.
You're right.
Right.
One of
Damn
those
it!
up.
I need to do that.
Yeah.
But
you
no,
don't need them nowadays.
like little travel bottles of toothpaste and shampoo. Don't have those. Got to stop off at home before I go home to get those. Just little tiny things that need doing.
All right. Well, I look. Everyone can relate to that. It's especially when you're going overseas because it's harder to pick stuff up when you're out there. I understand.
You should pre-record your last headline today before you leave, just so you can expedite, your exit even more.
An excellent idea. Well, I'll do that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's non-negotiable with Adam. That's happening every day. So I do want to get to this real quick because we won't have time for a while, and I do want your guys' opinion on this. This is I don't have any problem with the Jacobs family. I think they're good owners. I don't think they're bad owners at all. Charlie Jacobs says this. He's talking about the beginning of this season. I feel it was little bit disorganized. There was a lack of structure. You see teams come through. They have a system. They have perhaps a fallback play, a breakout play, something. And when I watched the Boston Bruins start the season, it was just chaos. There was no organization. I had a difficult time understanding that given Monty's record, Jim Montgomery, I don't know how to answer that other than to say something just changed. And at that point, you've shot for the groceries poorly. You've made the meal at this point. What are you going to do? Monty didn't necessarily have any answers. And at that point, we had to make a decision. Okay, is he in a indirect way saying Jim Montgomery was deliberately blowing the season?
I didn't take that from it, even though in hindsight you could make that case because he did sign with St. Louis about 15 minutes after he left here.
Because it's a ridiculous notion. Because there's no way when there's 32 teams that a guy's going to deliberately tank one of the team's seasons.
Okay, so Wallach, I'll let you go here. The first thing I thought about when I heard this was unless you're the rarest of owners, is any owner equipped to sit back and watch a game and really discern what's going on the ice in terms of who's responsible for unless it's just a goalie who can't stop a shot. Yeah, are owners really in the best position to sit back and say, what's going on strategically on the ice and who's to blame for it?
My assumption is that he's talking to Neely and Sweeney, and this is what they're telling him. I mean, obviously he has access to the guys that do know what's going on.
Okay. Well, this doesn't change my opinion.
No, I agree with you. I mean, it's just an odd thing to say. Like, it was chaos. Well then what happened after he left? You were just as bad.
See, I think there's a reason why he put that there. And don't forget, Jim Montgomery was negotiating a contract extension in the couple of months leading up to, and when we talked to him preseason during that period of time. So I think the insinuation was, he was being an a-hole about negotiations. He's still a little butthurt over that. He's still a little angry at Montgomery for kind of pressing him to the wall for extra money. See, he went after me for more money, and look how poor our team played out of the gate.
Okay, well, that's fine, but Jim Montgomery's team that he coaches now, which you could make an argument was worse than yours when he became coach, is in the playoffs.
It's clear the guy is good at what he does.
That's why it just drives me crazy that they fired him, and that it was this thing that everyone just seems, not you guys necessarily, but just everyone that knows more than me about the team just says, like, it needed to happen. It needed to happen. I don't know why you needed to fire Cassidy and then you needed to fire Montgomery
because Sweeney and Cam weren't going to fire themselves.
Well, that might be the point. But the thing is this, and this is what we've been talking about, and to our credit, we've been keeping track of this all season, is that we said at the beginning, St. Louis did not have a good record when they fired their coach for a reason, and they hired Jim Montgomery for a reason. They weren't playing well. They're not a star-laden team. That's just a fact. So if I look at the Western Conference, your first old coach has got 110 points, and then Jim Montgomery's got 96 points, and you've got 76 points. He's got 20 more points than you.
Yeah, Vegas has the second best record in the West.
So it's just ridiculous. And we've been talking about this all season. About once a week, we've revisited what's going on in St. Louis. Now, look, I really like Jim Montgomery as a guy. So that I can't say that that's not any influence on what I'm saying. But I like Cassidy, too. I like Jim Montgomery more. But I liked Cassidy as well. The reason Cassidy, they said, was moved is because he couldn't get along with the players. Fine. You bring Jim Montgomery in, who everyone loves, and you get rid of him. There's what sounds like it's funny because Charlie Jacobs sounds like it was chaos. There was no organization. Well, what sounds like no organization? You got rid of a guy for being too strict, and then you got rid of a guy who's a player's coach. You have no organization. You're just throwing out coaches. And Hardy, what you said is the only way I can interpret it is that he goes on to say, Neely and Sweeney, he takes it personally when people say bad things about them, and they've had a long run of success, and I agree they have. And he's never firing them. He doesn't want to fire them. So you go through two really good coaches. It's a bad thing. Mm-hmm. Bad teams cycle through coaches. And by the way,
and even worse teams get rid of good coaches.
Well, that makes it look worse. And also, by the way, guys, Cassidy in Montgomery had success with you. You fired Cassidy when he was having success. You fired Montgomery when the year before he had overachieved. And then 10 games or whatever it was into the season, you're 12 games into the season, you're getting rid of the guy. Bad teams do that. And it's no mystery. And the only reason I could think that they're thriving in other places, like winning a cup, like taking a team worse than yours and putting them in the playoffs, where they had to go on a hell of a run. I mean, St. Louis went nuts at the end of the season. They remember when they won like 9 of 10? They needed every one of those points They only got in by 2 points. They needed every one of those points they got. And I just don't get what the plan here is. And I got to be honest, if I was a coach, as much as I would love coaching the Bruins, original six, great fan base, there is a little bit of talent, I guess established front office. But what I would be very concerned about is, all right, and I would talk about it in the negotiation. It would be absolutely something I'd address in the negotiation before I took the job. The last two guys you fired before they fire Sacco, but the last two guys that you fired are good coaches and have had great success where they've gone. So you're firing good coaches. You're not firing. So if I come in here, what can I do that guarantees that I don't get fired? Because you just seem to fire guys no matter how good a coach they are. And if the team would have improved when they've improved for what, like 5 games? Like if they would have gone and then you would have gone, all right, Montgomery belonged in St. Louis and it's just a better fit. But it didn't work like that.
I think they were 7-2 after Sacco took over.
Yeah.
And then they went right in the tank. And by the way, I looked it up. St. Louis was 19-4-2 to finish.
Yeah, so pretty good.
19, and they won 13 in a row, I think.
By the way, if you would have kept Montgomery and gone 19-4-2 at the end of the season, I know you had injuries. If 19-4-2 at the end of the season, you probably wouldn't have made the playoffs.
And that includes a 3-game losing streak at the end of the season. Just keep that in mind. And that's to get the last playoff spot by 2 points.
I didn't like when they fired him in the first place. The organization seems rudderless, and they got it. You can't, because now the coach, and we'll get into Ty Anderson about possible coaches, but now when you hire a coach, you can't. I mean, what are you going to do? What if the guy's a disaster? Then you're going to have to fire him.
Well, that's
and then it's going to be your fourth coach.
Well, that's the thing. In order to maintain high confidence in this organization, this coach you have to nail. There's no excuses. You have to not only hire a guy, you have to hire a guy that's going to be here 4 or 5 years because of what has happened to you over the last 2 or 3. So if you're the Jacobs family, if you're Don Sweeney, if you're Cam Neely, you don't hire a coach in the next week. You spend a good amount of time vetting every candidate because you need to get this one right. Because if you don't get this one right, if I'm Charlie Jacobs, I go right back to say, why am I paying you? What have you done in the last 5 years that lends me to have any confidence whatsoever, especially since I just fell on my sword for you with the media yesterday or recently? I mean, if you read that Charlie Jacobs piece that Jim McBride did, and congratulations to him for getting an exclusive interview, he has gone out of his way to back Sweeney and Neely in the face of all the criticism both of them are getting. So this is on them. They need to hire not only a good coach, they need to hire a coach that's going to be here for a while.
Well, I think that gets back to the exact same issue. That coach that they think is going to be here for a while might even have some real success while they're here, but if things start to go south, if things remain the same as they are now, with ownership, Sweeney and Cam all in lockstep with each other, once it starts to get uncomfortable, if things go awry, that coach is going to be gone, and you're going to be left in the same cycle.
Or might they make a bigger mistake, knowing that they need to hold on to a coach for a while? If things go south, stay with him against their better judgment.
Well, the Jacobs can't stay not making the playoffs, so I don't know about that. But I will say this is maybe if you would have extended Montgomery, the team would have reacted. I mean, you put him in a situation where he was, he was in limbo. Maybe if you would have actually extended Montgomery based on his past performance, the team would have known we better fall in line because this guy is the coach for the next 3 years, and if we don't follow his lead, we might be gone. My playing time rests on this guy for the next 3 years.
It's interesting, too, about the owners, Fred, which you kind of started all this with, because I hear a lot of criticism of the Jacobs, some of it from some diehard Bruins fans, that they're more interested in what John just said, or what you just said about making the playoffs, because that's where you make your gravy. That's where the money is made. It's the Black Friday of the sports season, because everything else is paid for and all the books are balanced on the regular season. But playoff gate, playoff concessions, that's where the money is made, and that's their concern. This is the criticism that I've read and heard, that they construct a team that's good enough to make the playoffs but not win. And then I say, but they have won, and they've been back to cup finals twice since then. And I don't think it's fair to
Well, I didn't say that.
No,
I didn't say
no.
that's why they're doing it.
No, I'm saying this is the most common critique I hear of ownership.
No. They want to make the playoffs because they want to make the playoffs. They want to make the play. I think the Jacobs family really doesn't like it when the team's not good. I think that they don't like it. I think that they want the team to be good. I think that their intentions are pure. I'm sure that getting money for the playoff gate. Look, this isn't the WNBA. I mean, it's not baseball where you need 81 home games to sell well if you're a medium small market team. And that's another thing we can get into today. I heard Steve Phillips arguing for no salary cap, and he didn't have an argument. No. He just went, if you bought a small market team, you know what you bought. Well, what if you live in a small market?
Yeah.
So anyway, but no, I think that they want to make the playoffs because they want to make the playoffs.
The narrative that they are penny pinching and trying just to increase their bottom line is left over from the 1980s and Harry Sinden. Once they got, and by the way, the Jacobs were the people pushing for it first and foremost, a salary cap, a hard cap. Then all of that went away, and the Bruins do spend at the cap. And I agree with you, they're fans first, and then owners second in this case.
And there's worse things in the world than wanting to make the playoffs. Yeah. Good, make the playoffs. I mean, yeah, and you can't argue with this century. You can't argue with the way the team has been this century. It's been, record-wise, win-wise, the best team this century. So, I mean, there's no debating it. It has, unless it fell apart at the end of this year. But it had been up until at least midpoint through the season. All right, so we'll be back. We'll catch you. See how I went sports right away?
It's unusual, and that's amazing. Right there.
Yeah,
that was really something.
That was for you, Johnny, because I know it's a getaway day for you.
Appreciate it.
Keep it in your sweet spot. All right, we'll be right back with everything that happened last night.
More. music in the morning. Okay, here's more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Did you catch a game last night?
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. What happened last night is brought to you by Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, where your hair doesn't have to be a game of what happened, so change your lettuce and change your life. With Dr. Matthew Lopresti at 1-800-GET-HAIR. Yesterday, the Red Sox from Boston went to Tampa Bay and said to the Rays, I challenge thee to a duel.
That's
a pitch
right.
and duel.
Rubber match last night to finish off the 3-game set. Sox lost the first one 100-0, and then they came back in game 2 and showed some real grit. And what would they show last night was Sean Newcomb going to the mound, straight out of Brockton, Mass.
Yep.
Well, there must be an arms treaty because no one nuked them.
I'm from the streets. I grew up in Brockton.
Okay.
Who's that?
That's Milliken.
Milliken.
I'm from the streets.
We had him in here. That was the whole addition and subtraction exercise.
I know.
Kilometers.
I have a friend from Brockton, and his license plate says Brockton. He's very, very pleased with being from Brockton.
Home of Marvin Hagler.
But he's
Rocky
mentioned that.
Marciano.
He's mentioned that once
Might have
or
mentioned
twice.
Marciano too.
Yeah, the Hagler
Does that
thing's
ever
been,
come up? Yeah, does that ever come up?
It's been mentioned maybe every time I've ever talked to him.
They were scoreless through 2 innings last night, and then in the third,
Line shot into the corner down the right field line. He hit that one wickedly.
No one puts the ball in the man's face.
that's correct.
And
And the baseball announcer is going to invoke that line after this hit. You ready?
yeah.
Line shot.
Oh, no, there seems to have been a robbery. Someone's stealing bags. I'm going to get to it. Someone's stealing bags. Oh, there's a slide. Hamilton, way to go.
1-0 Sox.
And here we are, 1-0. Dunkity-doo, Homeroo.
That's still your best one.
Look, man, there's 162 games. Stay patient.
I got you.
So the rest of the game would be all about the defense.
Up the middle, Story with a spin move. Throws it, gets it there in time.
Razzle-dazzle in the strike to first.
Couple times in this series, hasn't he? The same kind of play. Yeah. This time he cuts down Caminero.
That was
Except for the one that he missed right to him on Monday. But
you know what? Shut up, Wallach. Go to France already. That was a hell of a play last night.
It was a very nice play.
That was, even when I popped and watched that. Woo!
How are you going to watch the Celtics playoffs while you're in Luxembourg?
I know I'm going to miss 2 games.
Are you confident you missed 2 games, or are you going to have your international data?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
You know, Luxembourg is an entire country. I don't know if you knew this. A lot of people think it's just a city. It's a country, and they do have television there, I'm sure.
Well, I don't know if they'll have the Celtics playoff games, but you could probably get them on your. Do you have the? Well, if you have cable, right?
I have League Pass.
Oh,
you have Slingbox?
I do not. I do not.
Well, one of the frustrating things about having cable is that even if you go to the gym and, like, say you want to watch, Michigan State basketball on CBS, like, say that's a game at noon.
Yep.
On a Saturday, it won't let you watch it at the gym because it has to be on your own Wi-Fi.
Well, that's what you have to go to the out of home, and a lot of times there is a lot of stuff on your filters there. I know the app that you're using just filtered
the Xfinity.
Out of home only, and a lot of that stuff is available outside your home.
Well, we just had a conversation that I'll call productive because I'm not quite sure what you're saying, but I'll just give you the phone at some point, and you'll take care of that.
Okay, and I will look at some photos while I'm in there.
You've seen all the good ones.
Let's skip.
And in the future, you can if you want to as well. When the person is sent, if there's a person who's sending them, I'll show them to you.
We'll skip right to the 9th inning, which didn't take long in a 1-0 game. This game flew by last night.
And the 2-2. Strike trade in the ball game on another filthy curveball. Red Sox win it 1-0.
And there you go. The 4 Red Sox pitchers last night combined for a 5-hit performance, no runs. Sox get the win 1-0.
That division sucks, huh?
Back at 500.
Yeah, not a good division.
10-10, baby.
Yeah, 10-10. Not a disaster.
So they get the day off. They'll be home tomorrow to take on the White Sox, see if they can do better in this series at Fenway Park, better than they did in Chicago. And it will culminate with that delightful 11 a.m. first pitch on Marathon Monday, which someone explained to me why they insist on doing that. Let's get everybody downtown on the busiest day in that area of the year, and let's just jam more people down there. 12, you have the answer?
I was going to say, and let's start the game at a time where it will be getting out just as everybody is descending upon Kenmore Square to watch the
I like that.
I think that's a great thing. Now
I do too.
You can't do it anymore because they moved up the start time of the marathon. Originally the marathon started. Well, the elite runners left at noon, so they would time it just right. 2 hours. They'd run through Kenmore Square right when the Sox game let out. Now, as we know, because we were at the starting line last year,
Hardy will be this year.
That's right, and Hardy will be this year. 10 in the morning, they start. Right about the time the show will be ending.
Yeah, it's a good thing you'll be there. Hey, I like, for one, again, I don't mean to be on the side of positivity.
Now, I'm actually on there with you this
but
time.
I think it's cool that there's a game at 11 o'clock in the morning.
I think it's great.
Well, then maybe you should stay in town and go to it.
That was always my favorite day of the year.
I'd never get to it from where you'd be.
For years, I did the live broadcast on BCN, and it was the best.
I mean, if I was here, I would have to be at the starting gate in Hopkinton, and I would get to the game around the 8th inning.
Literally just texting with Dan Roach right now about.
Oh, good.
He's already very excited about.
You might be able
show.
to get there if you were able to just leave at the broadcast at 10 o'clock. But no. You can't leave. Now you just can't leave because now the runners are going off. So all these streets are blocked and everything. And, oh, by the way, you're not parked anywhere near there. You're parked at the Price Chopper a few miles down the road. And we're going to get you a ride back to that place maybe once we circumnavigate the globe trying to find streets that you can actually drive on to get out of the marathon starting area. And then you can drive your happy ass home.
Remember we drove around for a while trying to find that one road out?
No, I don't remember what that was like after being up at 4 o'clock in the morning and sleeping in a virtual crime scene the night before because I thought it was such a good idea to stay in a hotel in Milford as opposed to just sleeping in my own bed and waking up 15 minutes earlier. That was brilliant decision number 14 that I made last year.
We drove around forever,
that was great,
Fred, and then we got the one road that would let us out, and it was blocked by 2 yellow buses. We had to drive up on the sidewalk, couldn't fit around, had to get the bus to move. It was great. It was a lot of fun.
It doesn't sound like a lot of fun. I'm fine with not being here at Marathon Monday.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Are you fine not doing that broadcast from the starting line?
Well, that hurts. That hurts a little bit. I'm glad I'll be here for the travelers.
Did I mention that you're outside and it tends to be a little brisk
at
5:30 in the morning in mid-April in
the dew
Boston
is freezing
area?
on the grass next to you.
Are you able to talk about the runners, see how they trained and everything?
We got a lot of guests lined up, and it's going to be. And
you
want to talk about positivity? Me and Mr. Dan Roach there at the starting line.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of watching the marathon. It was when I first moved here, I thought it was unique, and then I quickly it doesn't even seem like that big a party. Like I never thought it was. I was a little disappointed. The most fun I ever had was with you, John, when everything was closed, like the roads were all closed, so we had to get out in Kenmore Square to walk.
No,
maybe
me.
So I don't go in Kenmore Square and walk maybe a mile.
Well, you had
where we were broadcasting.
Yeah, you had I don't think we were broadcasting there. You had an appearance.
Okay, fine. I had an
appearance.
Yeah. I'm not and it runs through Newton on Commonwealth, which isn't overly far from where I live. And I mean, you stand. I remember one year we took the kids and I'm like, everyone was like, why are we standing here?
Yeah.
Even if I knew someone
the runners.
That's what we do in Natick.
Yeah,
Mile 10,
that got
baby.
old very quickly.
After how long? 2 hours?
No, I gave it 3 to see if it picked up a little bit. And then you see a guy with a zany costume on, and you'd be like, "You piece of garbage! You're a real piece of garbage." I saw a guy yesterday with a marathon jacket on.
Oh, good.
Oh, I got to find mine because I got to start wearing it around like I ran.
Oh, yeah. Well, when you come back from vacation, you gotta wear that thing.
Yeah, I might wear it all the time. I might just wear it every day and just be like, people will like, go, did you run the marathon? I'll be like, no. They gave it to me just like they gave it to you.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any trouble getting it.
No training.
No.
Didn't have to run in 5-degree weather in January. Didn't have to do any of that.
What I like though is because I live by Heartbreak Hill, like kinda. I like that on the weekends everyone runs in their marathon jackets.
Yeah.
In preparation for the marathon.
Sure.
Yeah. Even if the weather is not suitable for wearing the marathon jacket is still being worn as a badge of honor. I'm glad that you ran the marathon. I don't know if you have to walk around with it, for the rest of your life, but there you have it.
I like wearing mine like into the Cheesecake Factory and just sitting there and ordering the menu, doing nothing athletic while you're wearing the marathon jacket.
Absolutely. All right, we'll be back. There was some stuff in the NBA. Also, the hockey playoffs are set. Lots of things going on.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
David Hamilton homered in the third inning last night down in Tampa, and that was enough for the Red Sox. They beat the Rays 1-0. They take 2 out of 3 in that series. They're back at 500 for the season. They'll host the Chicago White Sox tomorrow night. The Bruins' regular season is over. Team CEO Charlie Jacobs told the media yesterday he still has full confidence in the franchise's front office. ESPN is reporting there's a level of interest from Houston in a Kevin Durant trade with Phoenix. And the NBA play-in tournament continued last night. Dallas beat the Kings in Sacramento 120-106, and Miami won in Chicago 109-90. Sports Hub headlines are powered by the commuter rail. Headed to the 250th anniversary of the Revolutionary War this weekend. Ride with $10 weekends and enjoy extra service on the Fitchburg line to Concord on Saturday. Get tickets with the M-Ticket app. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7 o'clock.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
For families, businesses, and retirees. You deserve coverage as advanced as your care. Call your broker or visit massgeneralbrighamhealthplan.org.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance
And I have had many offers to become an insider. Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy, and the Bottle Rockets are playing. Everyone is having a good time with that. Hardy, what else happened last evening?
NBA play-in games, Dallas and Sacramento. I don't know if you remember, but Dallas made some moves during the season. Personnel moves.
Yeah, they traded Luka Doncic.
Oh, that's right. It was a relatively
I knew about that.
big story at the time.
Yeah.
They were also in the NBA final
I do
year.
sports. I do a show on a sports radio station.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I remember that. A lot of people probably forgot. I remember.
Okay. So, and do you remember who they played in the finals last year, Fred? The Dallas Mavericks?
No.
John, do you remember?
I think that was the Boston Celtics.
That's right. Now they're just trying to get back into the
you
playoffs.
call the games. That's why you knew that.
That's true.
They're just trying to get back into the playoffs, but they got to do it on the road. Would they be able to do it?
Now against Sabonis. Left of the lane. Tough 12-footer. Good. Little extra arc on that one for Anthony Davis.
Got 23. You can't double him with that other big in there underneath.
105-85.
Oh, that's right. Anthony Davis plays for Dallas now. So Dallas getting the job done. And in the fourth quarter,
Thompson again for three. Yes!
23, and you guess what your reward is for winning Game 7? Another Game 7.
Well,
All right,
the irony is so thick.
So what do they do now, Wallach, or have you forgotten and don't care because you're going to Paris?
They are now going to Memphis. The loser of the 7-8 game, they're going to play in Memphis tomorrow night, and the winner of that game gets to play Oklahoma City in the first round.
Is it a bit much, these play-in games?
I don't mind it.
It's okay? You're okay with it?
No, I'm good with it.
I don't know why you should be rewarded for being the 10th team in your conference, but
keeps more teams interested, keeps them from losing, tanking, that kind of thing.
They wouldn't keep me from tanking.
More games relevant.
They didn't keep Philadelphia from tanking.
Well, Philadelphia was nowhere near 10th. They weren't going to finish.
When they started tanking, there was a chance they could get in. I mean, you just had to have 37 wins. I mean, you didn't have to do much. I mean, like, they could have won 37 games conceivably if they would have tried a little bit harder. I mean, Philadelphia started not playing anyone maybe in February.
I think the line, and I'd have to go back and look because I don't follow that team, but when Embiid was out, out, like they knew he wasn't going to play again, that's when the decision was made.
No, I know that, but I'm saying that I would say the Heat's roster is not entirely better than Paul George, what's his face in Philadelphia? The good Tyrese Maxey. Like, Philadelphia has the players to win, finish 6-7 games under 500. I mean, I'm saying I'm just pushing back a little bit on it. It stops tanking because I don't think it does. Like, I don't think the Heat fans or the Hawks fans I don't think either of them care who wins this game on Friday night. And I think that's fair.
That's true.
Fan
bases haven't cared for a while.
And I wonder if I kind of hope the Mavericks make the playoffs. I think if because what's odd is if the Mavericks had Kyrie Irving healthy and they could have established themselves where they weren't playing Oklahoma City in the first round, I mean, they would have been a decent playoff team. Like, I don't know if they would have done anything, but it would have been decent. You got to figure Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, that would have been
an
okay.
Themselves. I see your point.
You know what I'm saying? But at this point, I mean, the Grizzlies are a massive disappointment who've just fired their coach. I mean, I don't. Look, if they want to do a play-in tournament, that's fine. I do think that it cheapens the regular season a little bit in the arguments that it's too long a season hold more weight when you just have an opportunity to make the playoffs even if you won 37 games. That's odd. Because if the Heat beat the Hawks, which is not out of the realm of possibility, Miami's the favorite, then you have a playoff team that won 37 games.
That's the easiest and simplest way of saying it. You should not be rewarded with a playoff berth if you only managed to win 37 regular season games. That shouldn't be on the table.
We have time to fill. I don't need to get right to the point.
No, but sometimes you got to find your way there. All right, so maybe the fans in Miami don't care. The Miami players actually care, much to my dismay. Guys like Tyler Hero.
Tyler trying to add 3 more to it, and does.
He's made all 6 of his shots, Heat Nation. He's 2 for 2 from downtown. Number 14 has 14.
Did you hear that, Heat Nation?
Heat Nation's like Greenland. Small but sparky.
Yeah.
They got a little pump to a little pep in their step.
And it's not just Tyler Hero, it's future Hall of Famer Bam Adebayo.
Inbound to Bam. He takes it away. Thrown too far, and he throws it down as Terry thought that Vooch was going to pop out.
What?
Yeah, I thought Vooch was going to pop out there, too.
You don't want your Vooch popping out, not in the middle of a game.
If I'm Vucevic, I don't know if I like the Vooch because it's very close to the Gooch.
Oh, yeah.
Who terrorized young Gary Coleman.
Didn't we have a long debate about Bam Adebayo's Hall of Fame credentials?
Yeah, there is no debate. Bam Adebayo is making the Hall of Fame.
John?
Yeah.
He agrees. He covers. He does the games.
Yeah.
Everyone makes the NBA Hall of Fame except for Cedric Maxwell for some reason.
There is no NBA Hall of Fame.
I know it's the basketball Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like Danny Hurley's dad's in the Hall of Fame. Like, I mean,
But by the way, Danny Hurley is probably in the Hall of Fame as well.
oh, for sure.
So
Yeah, like it's Mike Gorman's in the Hall of Fame deservedly, but I mean, you're just everyone we know is in the Hall of Fame except for Cedric Maxwell. I mean, Chris Bosh is in the Hall of Fame. Chris Webber's in the Hall of Fame.
Bosch's Pit, baby.
I don't think it was that guy. I was listening. I don't think that Miami Heat call was that guy. I forget the guy's name. Who's the guy that we can't stand? The Miami Heat guy?
Yeah, and wasn't he? Did we have him on the show when he was a dick?
Yes, that's exactly what happened. And it was funny because I did a game in Miami the next year and ran into him. And he was like the nicest guy because he had no idea who I worked for.
It's just so weird that one thing that's really annoying to me is when people that like call games for a team or they're in a market where, you know, they're covering sports, they come on like combatively because you're in a market that's playing their team. It's such a cheerleadery, just lame thing. And actually, Matt Taibbi, who's very popular, he's suing the government for like millions and millions of dollars for coming after him. He's probably going to win. He testified in front of the House. He actually wrote about it in a book of his. These idiots from Chicago had me on, and they started talking to me about the Super Bowl and the Patriots, and I said I didn't care, that I don't care, and that I think it might have been when we went to Minnesota, and I'm like, Minnesota's okay, but I think they're gonna have us in this dump by the mall. I don't really want to go, and they were like bewildered as if I wasn't more excited about the whole Super Bowl, and I said because I don't care, and then it was like they were trying to like razz me. Like about the Patriots, and I'm like, good, all right, I don't care. I was going the Shaughnessy route.
Yeah.
Because Shaughnessy's a great guest out of market because when they have Shaughnessy on, they go, well, you said this, this, and this. And he goes, yeah, I mean, you know far more about football than me, so I'll just leave it to you. And they get so frustrated with him because he won't argue. It's great.
Yeah, I said it's my opinion.
Well, no, but he doesn't even say that. He goes, I guess you're right. Like, you know, he's like, you said this was a tomato can and this was no good. Well, you know, it was the Texans. He was on in Houston.
Yeah.
And they were like, and the Texans, blah, 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 blah. And Shaughnessy goes, yeah, okay. I mean, you guys know more about football than I do. You're down there. It's like your sport.
It was such like a revelation, too, to people when Dan, and he's probably said it a number of times over the years, but it was maybe 5-7 years ago when somebody was getting on him for not being a fan of the team. And he said, exactly. I'm not a fan of the team. I'm a fan of the story. You know, I'm rooting for a good story. But if you want someone to, you know, rah the Red Sox or any other team around here, that's not what I do. That's not what I've done. I don't know why you're expecting that of me. There's a lot of people who will do that for you and just give you commentary based on a fan perspective. But no, I'm not doing that. People are like, what? He's not a fan. He said, of course not. Stop
and I can
it.
tell you who does that. It's the people that cover the Cardinals in St. Louis, and it's not good. It's bad. It's not enjoyable, and you'll find yourself not consuming it. Derek Gould for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch is never negative. Never, no matter what. No one should ever be fired. No one should ever be off the team. And it's just pointless. It seems dishonest. Like it just seems there's got to be if you're constantly crapping, it's not necessarily enjoyable, but it's certainly preferable to constantly just saying nothing and that nothing's wrong. I mean, the Cardinals aren't running the team well, and no one's coming to the games. You have to – okay, if I'm him and I see no one's going to Cardinal games, perhaps my audience would like to hear a little bit of how this could improve instead of just going like, everything's great, and how about – this is the pencil I'm using to score the game today, and look at this. And
is that the overall mentality? Because Gould's been there, 30 years now?
Yeah, because when they win, it's fine. But, like, now the fan base is pissed and getting apathetic. And the thing is if you don't reflect that, at this point, if you're not reflecting that, then no one's going to – I don't read him anymore. I haven't read him opening – I'm not on Twitter anymore. I used to follow him on Twitter, and it was just his stupid pencil that he was going to score the game with. Like, he's like all cute, like about baseball. And it's like, all right, man, I get it. You like baseball. Good. I'm glad you covered it for 30 years. But this team is this organization's on the precipice of becoming a real disaster. You better, get digging.
Yep.
And tell people how they could solve it and how they plan to solve it.
Ask those hard questions of Chaim Bloom. That's what he should do.
Well, Chaim Bloom hasn't taken over just yet. That's next year. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Will Smith's got a new record out, and now we have it, and we can hear it for ourselves.
This is Boston's home for sports.
Holiday three. Good night. Jalen forces it up over Somebody tied it.
WBZFM and HD Boston 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Beasley Media Group station.
Sports Hub headlines. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox only had 5 hits last night in Tampa, but they only needed 1 to beat the Rays.
Line shot into the corner down the right field line. He hit that one wickedly, and it is gone. An absolute laser beam by Hamilton. 1-0 Sox.
That is Dave O'Brien on Nesson, and David Hamilton's third-inning homer handed the Sox a 1-0 victory. They not only took 2 out of 3 in the series, but got themselves back to 500 for the season. Sean Newcomb and 3 relievers combined in a 5-hit shutout. Sox play the Chicago White Sox at Fenway Park tomorrow night to begin a 4-game Boston Marathon weekend series. Alex Cora told the media before last night's game there's a good chance Brian Bayo and Liam Hendricks are with the big club next week. The Bruins' regular season is done. Team CEO Charlie Jacobs told the media yesterday he still has full confidence in both Cam Neely and Don Sweeney. At the NBA play-in tournament, Dallas beat the Kings in Sacramento 120-106. They visit Memphis tomorrow night. They also parted ways with GM Monte McNair after the game. Also, Miami won in Chicago 109-90. They traveled to Atlanta to see who the Eastern Conference 8 seed is tomorrow evening. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the 99 Restaurants. Gift cards from the Nines make the perfect Easter basket treat. And for every $25 you purchase, you'll receive a $5 bonus card for yourself. You gotta love the Nines. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7:30.
Boston's best sports talk. There's an app for that. Download the Sports Hub app for loads of stuff. Absolutely free. Connect with the shows, get podcasts, and more. Get it where you get your apps. Or at 985sportshub.com.
What's the best way to listen to Toucher and Hardy?
Well, you're going to have to spend $40.
Cough it up, and let's get back to Toucher and Hardy on the sport.
You weren't enthralled with his Nightmare on Elm Street themed rap, Nightmare on My Street?
That would became the nightmare, but on my street.
Well, if you want to know about the intricacies of the flaws in Will Smith's rapping, I will take you no further than Parents Don't Understand. When he, in the beginning of the song, is being dressed for school, and his mother is buying him zips to go back to school, zip shoes and bad clothes. And then the second act of the song, they've gone out of town to some exotic locale on vacation, and he takes the keys to their brand new Porsche. So they not only are traveling internationally, it would seem, to some Caribbean affair, they have a brand new Porsche. So make up your mind, Fresh Prince of the Fresh Prince. Are you poor or wealthy? I mean, you're telling 2 very different tales. And then, to top it all off, he's with someone who's very underage. He picks her up in his car, kidnapping, and then takes her to a fast food place. And she starts, she tells him to go fast, and then it turns her on. And then she put her hand on his knee, and then they got whiplash, which is she could civilly sue him for that.
Yes.
So a lot of flaws. That's all I say.
Right.
Sometimes I tell that to people, and it blows their minds. It didn't happen today. John already knows my that. But when I point that out, the 2 acts of Parents don't understand directly counter each other. They're in complete. They're magnets facing each other. They don't make any sense. All right.
So think about that. But he's got a new album.
Yeah.
Based on a true story. Now, we heard a clip of it when it just came out. And, Fred, if you would like to play that, we can get an idea of what we're working with here.
About how people are mad at him. And he's obviously been canceled with his new record and his Bad Boys for Life movie that's come out. Again, you can't cancel people anymore. It was a fun idea for a while. But now when you cancel people, their audience gets upset. And then they do something on their own. And it just galvanizes their audience. So congratulations on all the effectiveness you've had. And it becomes a rallying point. It's really damaged. And all of you who came after Shane Gillis, congratulations. It really destroyed his career. He was better off not being on Saturday Night Live. Now he just hosts it. So, I mean, you guys you've been very effective in your outrage. It's been very, very good and had the exact effect that you wanted it to. Maybe you could act like grown-ups and get a little more selective in your outrage. So it's not just one big white noise crybaby complaining. All right, so anyway, but Will Smith has obviously been canceled, who I will always give credit to, because they looked like, what's going on? Please get him off the stage. This is uncomfortable. I don't want him talking about my family right now. And I don't think I'm making that up. The more I've, again, watched this several times, it's the best thing I've ever seen in the history of live television. No hyperbole. A maniac losing his mind, and then Hollywood just sitting there going, who cares?
Yeah.
And just not reacting. And then you see how phony and insane they all are. Like, you have Denzel Washington, like, giving him Bible scriptures in his ear, like off stage, like off camera. Like, you all are insane. You're all insane. He should have been tackled and taken out. And I don't care if you arrest him or not, tackled and take him out and kicked into the street and said, get the hell out of here. And then when they did Best Actor, and if he would have won, if that's the way it works and it's really a vote, then I would have had him say Will Smith won Best Actor, but he's not here because he slapped the host, and now and he's not going to be able to pick up the award tonight. But they all sat there and gave him a standing ovation. But he's canceled.
But they don't know how to react. A, because they're living in this insulated blanket of Hollywood. But B, I think 90% of the people, the actors and actresses sitting there watching it, and they've kind of got these blank stares and they don't know how to react. I think a lot of it is none of them have eaten for about 2 days. Yeah. Because they all want to fit into their Oscar clothes. Yeah. And they've got that lightheaded, low blood sugar thing going, and you've been there where you're not making sense when you talk, and you find it better just to not speak or react because you can't really tap into actual human emotion at that point. A lot of people, a lot of them live that way all the time, but especially on that night.
Well, and then it comes out that Will Smith, it wasn't only the slap, is that Jada Pinkett Smith, his not the woman he used to be married to. They're not married, even though he said wife. In fact, afterwards, Jada Pinkett Smith did an exclusive interview where she said the most surprising thing about the whole situation at the Oscars is that Will referred to her as his wife because she said that they haven't been intimate. She said they haven't been intimate in like 10 years. She really is not good to him. And then it comes out that, oh, by the way, you didn't see this because it's on the internet, but Jada Pinkett Smith had some kind of talk show where she had Will Smith on and just to his face was telling him about how she was banging her son's friend. And he just had to sit there and take it. So Will Smith's life is hell. It really is hell. I don't know what's happened to him, but you'd be better off like dying of a heroin overdose than what's happened to him. In a way, like you enjoyed the heroin and then you died.
What was the name of that show? Where he had to sit at a table.
It's a Red Table, I think it was
Red
called.
Table,
Yeah.
Thank you, at 12.
But no one had seen it because it's Jada Pinkett Smith and who cares?
Right.
Yeah, it's like something on YouTube.
And and then Jada Pinkett Smith comes out and she goes, Tupac is the only man I ever loved.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, that's fun.
Yeah.
So Will Smith, this whole album apparently, according to reviews, is bad. Obviously, it's terrible. But it's not good musically, and his lyrics are terrible. He's a bad rapper. But it's all like about like the aftermath of the slap and how it's been a spiritual rebirth to him. But also, you can't cancel him because he's too tough. There's a lot of mixed messages in this as well.
Yes.
Personal life with my wife, mind your business, it's complicated.
That's right. So the reviews...
Mind your business with his wife. It's complicated. Well, then stop being famous and having her have a talk show where she has you on to cuckold you. That's not a great way to mind your business.
The reviews are in for the new Will Smith album.
Yeah.
All right. So a collection of them here. We'll start with Rolling Stone. Based on a true story, is clunky and sullied by the fallout of the Oscars when it could have been so much more. That's the kindest of the reviews.
What more could it have been? And you guys gave me crap for not reading the Jimmy Kimmel interview that I had seen the very small portion of, and then I told you it was behind a paywall, and then Hardy informed me it's $99 to subscribe to Rolling Stone, which I didn't like 30 years ago, let alone today.
Yeah, when my subscription came due again, I'm like, no, I can't do this. Music OMH. Flailing, futile gesture devolving into self-congratulatory platitudes and the sort of vapid motivational speak that feels both forced and unearned.
Would you like to hear a little bit of it? Because I have something new from the album that none of us have. What's the medicine? Opium? Fentanyl?
St. John's wort.
Oh, maybe magnesium.
Magnesium.
Does magnesium making this less tedium?
Echinacea. Golden seal. All the stuff that really, really works.
For my sense, I'm atoning. Give me that melatonin. Hip hop who have no trauma. The most people in hip hop have grown up in. He got into MIT, by the way.
Yes.
Will Smith's an intelligent human being. I think I don't doubt he's been through trauma. A lot of it's self-inflicted.
A lot of struggles for a guy who's worth $350 million. By the way.
Money does not. That is money.
But is
money
he happy?
does not do anything.
Is
money
he happy? 12
makes it worse.
Money
makes it worse.
Well, now we can get into it. A certain amount of money does make things worse. There is a level of money where you can indulge, and it's funny. I heard someone talking about this the other day. They were like, "Well, you could make a lot more money," and he's like, there's a certain amount of money that I've seen has made people can, and we've talked about this before, people can indulge in their anxieties, like in their, like when you get enough money, you can insulate yourself to a degree where you are like Howard Hughes. Like you never have to do anything that makes you uncomfortable again, and it like ruins your life.
Right.
Like, so I think he moves into the den.
Yeah, he's
he gets the attic eventually.
The dynamic between Greg and Tom in Succession is really good, but Greg is the one who wants $5 million so that he can just be rid of all this and, kind of be on his happy way. And it's Cameron from Ferris Bueller, who is really the hapless one of all, but every once in a while has the most wise thing to say. And he goes, "Oh, no, you don't want $5 million. $5 million is a nightmare." And someone else in the family immediately agrees with him. He's like, "Why? That's $5 million. That's a lot of money." He goes, No, not worth it to work when you have $5 million, but it's not enough for you and your family to live on for the rest of your lives if you want to, keep living the lifestyle you become accustomed to. No, God, the last thing you want is $5 million.
No, you got to be able to live off
Greg.
you got to live off the interest. So yeah, if you're living,
you got to be real careful with the way you spend. You think you're rich, but you could blow through that easily.
Well, the thing is, because the idea is when you retire that you don't ever want to touch the money, that you're living off the interest of the money, not its performance in the market. You never want to get that number down. Like ideally, you die with the same number that you retired with, that you're living off your interest off of that, like the compound interest and everything.
Like a rubber drum, I will not sugarcoat this stuff with bubble gum. Going through troubles, I hate with the trouble done. I hate to be the thing that people suffer from.
If I had $10 million, I would feel very comfortable. I think that would be the number.
Would you keep working with $10 million in the bank?
I would keep working, yeah. But I would spend a little bit more lavishly if I had $10 million saved. Mm-hmm. We'll get there, Hardy. Don't worry about it.
Oh, yeah? Me and you together?
Yeah, Daddy.
Okay.
I'll take you on a ride.
What about Wallach?
Wallach's spending his money. He's going out to Luxembourg like some kind of jet-setting...
Don't have any left after this.
Like Harvey Weinstein over here. I'm just kidding.
How about that? How about this?
I just try to think of the worst rich guy in the world.
He's up
It's
there.
Epstein over here.
Give me that one.
Epstein over here.
Epstein over
Man.
All right, one more, and then we can play one more clip of the song. And then
Josh Mills writes, "It's not a hilarious disaster. It's not a tabloid tell-all or, actually good."
No,
so
it's bad.
It's nothing. It's just he threw it out there, and it's laughable at times. Is it laugh out loud bad? No, it's just bad.
Yeah, that's even worse. And I like Big Sean, and he's on it. But he's terrible on it too. I read that he was trying to steal Eminem's flow from whatever.
I can hear that a little bit.
Yeah, from whatever record. And this is, and if God is for real, you wonder if he'll.
Corny as it is calculating, and part redemption arc, part self-help seminar, part midlife crisis, all wrapped up in beats that feel more outdated than a flip phone. Maybe some stories don't need a sequel.
You guys either sent this to me or a listener did, that in the UK it sold 260 copies.
That's insane.
Okay, so it was a listener. Yeah, listener. And thank you to the listener who sent it. It was a link to a story that Will Smith's new record, like, because you know how they compile streaming to be a record sale,
Yeah,
like
sure,
how they can do that.
Yeah.
So it's not like he sold 260 pieces of vinyl.
No,
like,
it compiles all that. Physical sales, digital sales, streaming.
Whatever the term is.
The day of
well, it was everything.
About 5 months
how many
in the
mics you
source.
got in the source was because at first I looked at Vibe magazine, but then I realized it's Adam, which is that line has always fascinated me. So he's just walking around a cigar that he won't light.
Yeah, I'm a poser.
Yeah, just I'm a 2-year-old. That's like when Peter was trying on the Brady Bunch different personalities. He was like pork chops and apple chops. I think he was carrying around a cigar a little bit too without lighting it. Maybe he was like Peter. I'm like Peter from the Brady Bunch. I got a hunch. I'm a cuckold. All right, very good. We will be back.
Change in the games and the shame and the world is insane. All the pain from the flames.
Yeah, all the pain from the flames. That's true. He's got that. Alex Barth will join us. He's got a lot of pain from the flames because he's still under the impression that Shedeur Sanders is going to get taken before the 4th pick in the draft. He's trying to will it into existence, but we'll see if he's changed his mind. We'll talk to him in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Celebrate Easter this Saturday and Sunday at the 99 Restaurant and enjoy delicious menu specials like pan-roasted lemon caper swordfish.
Wi-Fi at home and on the go. But wait, tap dancing? You don't tap dance.
Hey, what I lack in skill, I make up with passion.
Do more of what you love and love how fast you do it with Xfinity Internet and mobile. Through June 23rd, get 400 megabit Xfinity Internet with free equipment and unlimited internet data. Plus, get one unlimited 5G mobile line included, all for $40 a month for 1 year.
Sports Hub.
My top 4 running
on top of this draft. Alex is great at what he does. Alex, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
We appreciate it. Okay, the last time we talked to you, you had your mock draft up. You were all going crazy. You had Shedeur Sanders fever, and you had that meant you had who would you have? You had Carter falling to the Patriots.
Carter, yep.
Are you still in that place right now?
I still think it's possible. I'm feeling less convicted about it now than I did then. I just think the Giants kind of doing this whole QB tour with everybody is a little suspicious, especially this late in the process. It seems to me, just from the outside looking in, that feels like a team that there's some conflict in the building. Do we take a quarterback? Do we not take a quarterback? Where do we take a quarterback? I don't think the Giants know what they're going to do yet. I still think that's up in the air. I do still feel like, though, if they take, if somebody falls, it's going to be it's going to be Carter and not Hunter.
Right. It's interesting. We had Dane Brugler on, and he has Shedeur Sanders falling to 21, but who knows? New Orleans. He doesn't think New Orleans is going to take him. But one thing that I want your opinion on, I'm actually really interested in it.
Yeah.
Is Ashton Genty, the running back out of Boise State. Okay, so it's not a premium position, right? And Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter are premium positions in their elite talents. But if you were going to say one other guy is an elite talent in this draft, according at least to Brugler, it's Genty. And his comp is LaDainian Tomlinson, which it would be very good. If the Patriots, and I know this is, you want to build through the lines. I'm not an idiot. I know you want to build in the trenches, and left tackle's a bigger position. Right tackle's probably a bigger position, all of that. What would you feel if the Patriots stay at 4 and took Ashton Genty?
Well, and Dane's made this case. The argument for Ashton Genty, if Carter and Hunter are gone, is he's the best football player on the board. You hear people this time of year just use the phrase, just take the best player available. And I think that's a little bit of a fallacy because, what does best player mean? Is it just the guy who's best at his position? There are kickers in this draft who are better kickers than, say, Ted McMillan as a wide receiver, right? But you're not taking him. Genty is truly the best player available. I wouldn't hate it. It certainly wouldn't be my favorite pick. I would say my opinion would very much be determined by what they did afterwards, because if you have Ashton Genty, if you take him and you make that investment, you're setting up to have a very certain kind of offense, and you're going to be pretty run heavy. You're going to need more on the offensive line. So if you're telling me that they draft Ashton Genty, then trade up from 38 to get a tackle, and then maybe move up again, or at 69, get a really good guard, a guy like a Tate Ratledge or a guy like a Wyatt Millam, I could kind of see that. Like, it's not necessarily what I would do, but it makes sense.
It's not what I would do either, but it'd just be fun. I wouldn't do it either if I was GM, but I would it's an interesting exercise, and I'm glad to get your opinion.
Alex, who would the tackle be that they would, if they moved up from 38? Is there somebody you kind of have identified?
So depending on how far they move up, it would, in my mind, probably either be Josh Connerly from Oregon or Ariante Ursary from Minnesota. I think both of those guys can be NFL starters year one. Kelvin Banks is going to go too high, I would think, for them to trade up. Josh Simmons worries me because he's coming off a pretty significant knee injury. So that is, and Vrabel talked about this earlier this week, you got to be very clear on the medicals there. But Connerly or Ursary, because after them, there's a very, very significant drop off at tackle. So it has to be one of those two guys. I don't think it's a guarantee that either of them get to 38 either. You might have to move up.
This Ursary is he's a big boy. He's a large individual. All right, so if you're sitting, if you're going to do what they most likely are going to do, and you take an offensive lineman, where do you land Campbell, Membu? Has that changed? I don't recall what you had said before. Where do you land with that?
I still like Campbell. He's the most talented offensive lineman in this draft. He has the best technical skill. The arm length thing really doesn't worry me. I mean, it's a factor, but Rashawn Slater has gotten by in this league and been an all-pro with 33-inch arms. And the moving from right to left worries me a lot more than that. We've seen them try it here. We've seen other teams try it in recent years. It's not impossible. It's incredibly, incredibly, incredibly difficult to do, especially for a guy. Some of the guys that have had success doing it, their physical prototype is more like a left tackle. Armand Membu he's athletic, but he looks like a right tackle.
Yeah, he'd play right tackle. Yeah,
right tackle.
That's
right.
You'd have to put him at right tackle. All right, now, where are you on potential versus performance in college? Because there are intriguing players based on in potential. In fact, there's a kid from Texas A&M, Shamar Stewart, who didn't do anything. But, his numbers are awful, but he's a freak. Where do you stand with that? I know they're not going to take him at 4, but say there was some world where they traded down in that. As you evaluate this draft where there's not a lot of elite talent, where do you stand on potential versus performance in college?
It's player to player for me. With Shamar Stewart, there's so many guys that can play in that Texas A&M defensive front. That's going to cut the numbers down. We've been doing this with Georgia guys for years. Nobody has massive numbers because there's so many players that are good in that front that can put up numbers. So with Stewart, I don't. There's a couple guys I have ahead of him. Like I have Mike Williams ahead of him, Jalen Walker, if you want to call him an edge. Certainly Abdul Carter, but he's somebody where I don't think that lack of production is as glaring than it would be for some other players. I still think he's worth a first-round pick, but I'm with you. He's not going to go 4, and he's going to go too high for the Patriots to realistically trade up and get him.
The one thing that I keep hearing about Will Campbell, Alex, is, okay, if he moves to guard, the 4th pick is way too high to select a guard, regardless of how good he is. But in this draft, considering there's a drop-off after the top 3, is it worth it for the Patriots to draft him at 4 and move him inside?
Not immediately, no. You don't want to take a guy you believe is a guard at 4. But if they believe he's a tackle and that's like a 4th or 5th step contingency plan, you shouldn't just draft based off what the worst-case scenario is. Because then you're ignoring all kinds of potential and all of that. So if they think he can play tackle, take him to play tackle. And if in a year or 2 he ends up moving inside to guard because it doesn't work out, I would still probably say they did the right thing at the time. If they draft him with the intention of, all right, well, we're going to see in camp at tackle, but he's probably a guard, I think that would be too high for a player like that.
The Giants have come out and said they'd let Travis Hunter play both ways because Travis Hunter said he don't want to play football if he's not playing both ways, whatever. He'll take the money. But if you were the Patriots and you somehow, like Shedeur Sanders did get taken and Abdul Carter was the 2nd pick in the draft, if you had Hunter, how do you think that would work? Do you think he's serious about only playing, that he wants to play both ways? Do you think teams will acquiesce to that?
So unless I missed part of that quote, he didn't say both ways full time. He just said both ways.
Right.
Which I would let him do eventually. I'd kind of tell him, hey, you're going to focus on wide receiver to start. And once you have that mastered, once we get into the season, we'll start mixing in some defensive reps. I think he does need to kind of solely focus on wide receiver at the beginning, just to round some things out with his route running and things like that. But I think he can get there relatively quickly. And once he gets there, if he's going and things are rolling at wide receiver, you can totally mix in some defensive snaps. I wouldn't have him do it full time. I don't think anybody can do that. I just think the physical toll is too demanding, but I think there could be a role for him on defense, rotationally, situationally.
Okay. In terms of the second round, I know you already threw out there one scenario where they might trade up out of that pick, but this wide receiver, Jaden Higgins from Iowa State, seems like an interesting prospect there that could be there at 38 if the Patriots just stand pat. They do take Will Campbell at 4. What do you think of that in the Brugler mock draft?
I like Jaden Higgins. He's a big outside X receiver, which they definitely need. They don't really have a guy traditionally in that prototype. I don't think he's quite as fast as he tested at the combine, but he definitely plays fast for his size. I think he's going to be a good complementary receiver. Like if he's your second receiver, you're in good shape. I don't know that he has the ceiling to be that, coverage dictating guy that they've been looking for. I don't think he's that definitive answer.
What about his catch radius, Barth? He's this big guy, a big catch radius.
Well, his comp is Kenny Galladay, so you got that going for you. That would be great.
Yeah, exactly. So you got to go out and get Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? Next year, we'd still be talking wide receiver in the first round. Okay. No, he can play a little bit, and he'd help them, but I don't think he's like the guy that everybody's been waiting for at receiver.
He's a big, slow white guy. What do you want out of him? He's got a good catch radius. He's got good hands.
Catch radius.
What do you want out of the guy? He's trying his best.
A good catch
out there.
radius, and he's got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He checked my one box.
Okay, that's all you needed from him?
Yep.
Is there any other are there any receivers that are anywhere in the draft that you like that maybe aren't getting a lot of shine right now?
So Higgins' teammate, Jalen Knoll, who's a slot receiver, but I think he's the kind of guy that would really thrive in the traditional Josh McDaniels slot role. Good route runner, crafty, really good after the catch, has some speed, can play vertically as well. He's going to be a second or third round pick. I think he'd be a really good fit here. And then Kyle Williams from Washington State. People were super late to start talking about him, and now he started to get some steam. He had a really good season last year, a little bit of an older prospect, but I think he's one of the more NFL-ready receivers. Can get open at all three levels, a true threat with the ball in his hands. He could kind of be a Z slot guy. I think he'd somebody who'd benefit a lot from getting to learn from Stephon Diggs. And he's another guy I think would be a great fit for specifically what McDaniels wants to do.
I will give you credit because I have never heard of him. In all of the draft stuff I look at, Barth has just brought out a guy I've never heard of. Who is this again?
Kyle Williams. So it's weird. Like I was getting ready for the Senior Bowl and I'm looking at the names and I start watching him. I'm like, this guy's good. What are other people saying? He was like 700th on the consensus big board. People were leaving him off previews. ESPN was cutting away during his reps in the game. And I'm like, did I make this guy up? Is he actually not real? Somebody pulling a fast one on me. But like 2-3 weeks ago, the guys from 33rd Team did an episode about him, and now everybody's kind of excited. He met with the Patriots, so he's more on the radar now.
All right, well, interesting. We learned something today. I'd never even heard of that prospect. All right, Alex Barth, continue to get informed by him. He's all over 98.5thesportshub.com. He does a great job. I think he was in for one of the things Felger and Maz were doing, and he knew everybody. Everyone they brought up, he knew no matter how deep, he knew off the top of his head. So go catch Alex Barth for a Patriots-centric, but he knows everybody in the draft. Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, guys.
All right, appreciate it. There you go. The great Alex Barth. I'd never heard of that guy in my entire life. And
Alex Barth? No, he's worked here for several years.
Now you're just being a goose. Of course I know Alex Barth. Have I met him? That I can't tell you. But I do know who he is. He does tremendous work. Have we ever been in the same room together? You put a gun to my head. I would lean towards yes. Don't know for sure. But we've probably been in the building at the same time. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. All right. So we'll be back in just a moment. Here are the headlines.
Essential Sports Hub headline.
the Cape.
And Hardy with blunt honesty.
I am not known as Mr. Fun.
Dutcher and Hardy continues on the Sports Hub.
My eye on John the day before he leaves for vacation. He gets very antsy. He's either super mellow or very antsy. And today he was a little antsy. And it started to affect his bowel. And he had to move. But we have a game in honor of his trip that will actually help you.
Oh. Okay.
It will be constructive. We have a game coming up at 8 o'clock. It's not so much of a game. It's just more. It's not. You don't really have to do anything. It's not even a game, is it? We decided it's not really a game.
It's a bit of a game, but it's more helpful than anything.
Yeah, it's not like you don't have to know the answers to the questions or anything. It's gonna help you on your trip though. So I would take notes in all seriousness, or ask at least for a copy of the notes, because that's going to be a big thing that's coming up. Ty Anderson's going to join us. An interesting Charlie Jacobs was interviewed by Jim McBride, and he talks about how he wants the team to win. He talks about how his dad is still checks in at 85 after every game. He does say that when he can't get in touch with Cam Neely, he calls Charlie again. And to that I would say that if I was Cam Neely,
I was just thinking that.
why are you not answering the phone? But maybe Charlie's up very, very late. Or up very, very early, I should say. Maybe he gets up at 2 in the morning. He's 85. The ownership is fairly vilified. Charlie Jacobs is in town. He refers to himself as a Bostonian. But the one part of this that I found a little bit odd is he's talking about the beginning of this season. He says, I feel it was a little bit disorganized. There was a real lack of structure. You see teams come through, they have a system, they have perhaps a fallback play, a breakout play, something. And when I watched the Boston Bruins start the season, it was just chaos. There was no organization. And I had a difficult time understanding that given Monty's record. I don't know how to answer that other than to say something just changed. And at that point, you've shot for the groceries, you've made the meal at this point. What are you going to do? Monty didn't necessarily have any answers. At that point, we had to make a decision. So he's justifying the firing of Jim Montgomery, who's, by the way, his Blues, which when he took over, you could be argued was a worse team than yours, are now in the NHL playoffs. They are in the playoffs. And he is a hero in that town. The Blues are the big story. I assure you that the Blues are the big story in that town. And they are in there, and your other head coach that you fired, his team has the second most points in the Western Conference. So they have that going for them. So you fired two coaches that are in the playoffs now, one of whom took a team to the playoffs that was the same, if not worse, than yours. And the reason your team was bad was because of the moves you made in the offseason. The moves you made in the offseason was Zadorov and Lindholm were terrible. So they didn't help at all. And, Charlie Jacobs talks about how he's going to keep around. He's never getting rid of Neely. That much is certain. And he talks about the structure is that Neely's at the top. Sweeney reports to Neely. And then, I guess Charlie Jacobs at the top. Cam Neely reports to Charlie Jacobs. Sweeney reports to Neely. And the coach reports to, and he says the coach, which is not going to be Joe Sacco. They were going to get a new coach. And we had someone email us saying that it's almost a done deal that the person has heard. And that is, he says that, I don't know. Blind Scott is emailing a lot too. So I just thought, Jay Pandolfo.
Okay.
Pretty sure Sweeney wants to hire Jay Pandolfo from BU. I'm not surprised surprised John did not know that. Wait, not surprised.
What?
It's been further speculated that since Joe Sacco has been a gold soldier and he was also at BU and that Pandolfo would retain him, I think Ty would probably know a lot about this.
Pandolfo is an assistant coach here. I think he's made 3 Frozen Fours in a row. He made the national championship game this year. So, he's been very, very good at BU, but I had not heard that.
I had not heard that Jay Pandolfo was next in line.
You can connect the dots. It's easy to connect the dots, but, okay. Played here, coached here, coaching at BU. Sure. Okay.
All right. So here's the deal, is that it is interesting that they have fired 2 coaches that are having this kind of success. As a Bruins fan, it's not good. Now that they're firing Sacco, they're going to fire Sacco. Now they're going to be on their 4th coach. And this guy they can't fire because he's there's no longer an excuse. You can't just ship the coach out anymore because the evidence is there. It's not the coach. It's obviously not the coach. You fired Cassidy. He won a Stanley Cup the next season. And then Jim Montgomery came in and was, in the regular season, certainly an excellent coach. Your team thrived. And then you fired him, and now you're out of the playoffs. And you need Philadelphia to win tonight because you want to stay fourth in the lottery, and that requires Philadelphia winning tonight. As we've learned that Boston has the tiebreaker over Philadelphia. So you're one Philadelphia win or tie away from having the fourth worst record in the NHL. Meanwhile, Jim Montgomery and Cassidy are both in the playoffs in the Western Conference. This is not good, no matter how you put it. It is not a good thing. All right, we will be back. John, there's so much for you to learn. We will find out all about that in just a moment.
Stay tuned for more.
that movie, a couple of things with Chevy Chase, but most notably, and I don't know if this is age, I don't know if it's drugs, I don't know what's going on, but he never quite speaks with his voice at a full volume. Go back and watch that movie, and it's not like an understated comedic performance. He just doesn't seem to ever get the thing out there. It's kind of like that halted speaking, I call it cocaine voice, where you're not, it's not the first 15 minutes. It's not the first bump where you're loud and feeling yourself.
Okay.
It's a couple hours in when you start to, sink back into yourself a little bit. And the whole movie is like that for him. I don't know what was going on with Chevy in Vegas Vacation, but it's not great.
It's funny because it's got to be, his aging has got to be really tough because he came into Saturday Night Live just as a writer because he was just hanging around. And then kind of at the last minute, they were like, all right, why don't you be on the show? So it wasn't this, he was the star, but then based on his looks, pretty much, he was the breakout star. And then he left too early, which is because the movie career would have been probably even better if he would have stuck around for a little bit longer. Left Lorne Michaels in the dust. But as he aged, that looks and charm faded. And then it had to be very difficult for him as he started to evolve because everything was based on looks and charm.
Yeah.
Bill Murray's always been ugly. So he's going to age, and he never aging out of anything.
No, it doesn't matter. And he's always been funny, so he
also doesn't help that Chevy Chase is pretty much we're known by everyone to be a raging prick.
Yeah,
well.
there's that too.
Well, I think that's part of it. I think that's why because I don't think he was a prick. I know he wasn't a prick in the beginning.
Yeah. So you think it's coming more from bitterness?
I think that it's tough to be the young, charismatic, overnight sensation, literally kind of an overnight sensation. You weren't even supposed to be on the show, and then all of a sudden, right away, you're the biggest
star. You're on the show, and you're the biggest star.
You're the biggest star.
And you're young, too. You're pretty young.
Yeah, you're real young.
Yeah.
And then as you get older, you start to age out of that young and charming, and now what am I going to do? I don't, and then you're on Community, where I guess he was a total dick, but you're on Community with a bunch of young, good-looking, charming people, and now you're the old guy.
Yeah.
You got to be able to pivot, and he couldn't pivot. Anyway,
and just one final thing. Well, first of all, the movie that the song that she dances to is Republica Ready to Go.
That's right.
I'm starting my vacation.
All right, we've gotten too much into this.
Has Chevy Chase ever made a quote-unquote good movie other than Caddyshack? Bill Murray has been in good movies.
Yeah.
Three Amigos.
Empirically good movies.
Three Amigos is not a good movie.
No,
it did not do well.
It's fun, but it's...
And it was a flop.
I loved Fletch. What's wrong with Fletch?
See, everyone loves Fletch. I don't love Fletch, but I get why you like it.
Okay, yeah, that might be the one. But I wouldn't call it a good piece, like a good film. It's not...
I liked it.
I think he's great. I think I'll tell you this. He was the perfect guy to cast as Fletch. No one else could have done it.
Right, and they just tried to remake it. The movie wasn't very good.
And John Hamm's great, but he's not Fletch.
Right.
Fletch is Chevy Chase.
Yep.
That I will give him. All right, so look.
So John Wallach is off to Paris, and
well, no, not. Let me say what John is doing, because you're gonna not get to the nooks and crannies that need to be said.
I am going to get to the nooks and crannies of it. All right, John Wallach is off to Paris, and then on his way to Luxembourg, but he is going with his family. A fool's errand, one might say. But we say, no, John. Things may not go poorly as you take your kids and your family on this European journey.
He's got twin boys that are in 8th grade.
9th grade.
Oh, they're in 9th grade?
Yep.
Oh, that changes everything. So he's got two. They're 15 years old. 15-year-old boys in 9th grade. Now, in Luxembourg, it doesn't count because Luxembourg's where his sister lives, and you got to see your family.
Yes.
But they are taking a detour to Paris, France.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you should be taking notes on all of this.
Hang on.
Okay?
These are things to do in Paris because I was skeptical, Hardy, about taking two teen boys to Paris because I was thinking, what would they possibly want to do there? I was thinking that maybe they might be miserable, but you're telling me there's 17 things that they could do where they would not be miserable.
All right.
There are so many things here, and we're going to start with number one. It is a museum housed in a 16th century mansion and features a hodgepodge of paintings, antique furniture, and a small guillotine. Now, is this the Musée Carnavalet or the Musée Paris?
I'll say it's the first one. Musée, what is it, Carnavalet?
Yes.
I would say that is my answer.
Someone has done his research. Now, are the boys? If you could turn down the music a little bit, I thank you. Now, are the boys very into the 16th century architecture?
No, they're not.
So
No.
this is for kids.
Yeah.
Now the guillotine's fun.
Yeah.
But do you think what kind of paintings again?
Watercolors.
No, did it say what kind of paintings or
It's
just
oil
paintings?
and very old.
Well, I didn't know if
pieces
there
of
was a
art.
description, if they were Renaissance paintings or what have you. I didn't know. I missed it. So that's what I was getting at. Because are the boys? What period of art is their favorite?
Oh, they're impressionists all the way. Can't go without it.
Well, you came to the right place. You realize how miserable this is going to be for you, right?
Fred, you speak too soon. As Wallach takes
We
the
just
baby
started
birds,
this. You don't know.
As Wallach takes the baby birds to Gay
You're
Paris.
out of your mind.
Here's
I
a-
understand Luxembourg. You're out of your mind taking them to Paris.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Option number two would be stepping into this small church. Is like stepping into a kaleidoscope.
These
Now-
are for kids, by the way. He's not making
These
this
are
up.
17 essential and unexpected things to do with kids.
So
in
think of
Paris.
all the things that you're not supposed to do with kids. If these are the things you're supposed to
These
do
are the
with
things
kids.
you're supposed to do, and these are why
Right.
he's writing them down.
Okay.
Now, this kaleidoscope of a church, is it the Petite Notre Dame, or is it the Church of Saint Chapelle?
I'll say the Church of Saint Chapelle.
He is on top of this.
John Wallach.
He's obviously looked at this list before. Are the kids? What church do you think they'll like the most out of the ones, all the ones you visit?
We're going to go to the how do you pronounce it? Notre Dame Cathedral. That is one place we are going to go.
Yeah, and what about that will they enjoy the most?
None. They won't enjoy that at all. That's something. That's one of those boxes you just have to.
No,
check
I
if you
understand
go to
why
Paris.
you would go.
No, but that's why we're taking them.
Because you've lived long enough where you understand that you value the history of something that was built so long ago.
Mm-hmm.
The millions of people, the important events that have taken place there. But with 15-year-old boys, I would have to imagine that would resonate just as deeply because they have a great perspective of time and history. Correct?
Right. They've studied all of this already.
By the way, I would be at Atlantis going down water slides with my daughter at this point, which is how I book my
What
vacations.
kid would want to do that?
Yeah, I book my vacations where when are you? What will make you the most happy in the short amount of time? What's the candy of a vacation?
Okay, so maybe that'll be fine for you and your daughter, but Wallach's twin freshman boys have no desire to see bikini-clad spring breakers in Atlantis. They would rather be doing these churches and museums in Paris.
Now, do they have their own room at least?
I think in Luxembourg they do, but in Paris they don't.
Oh, good. So they'll be able to have that privacy that's so needed. Very good. All right.
The four of you are staying in the same room in Paris?
I believe so. Yes, that's all we could. We couldn't afford 2 rooms.
Well, then why not go to Paris? I mean, if you can't afford it,
Yeah.
I mean, now's the time to go.
Yeah. It should be fine. We'll be fine.
You know, Hardy, what's a good travel tip?
What's really good is the hotel rooms are really big all over Europe.
Yeah, because they're modern, too.
It's like going to Vegas. You know, they're huge, so much space in these old world cities. The four of you will be completely comfortable in that one hotel room.
Hey, if we gamble enough, we're going to get comped. It'd be great.
But look, price points can't be an issue when this is the age to experience Gay Paris. 15.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
That's right.
You just, boy, you're going to come back. You're going to kiss the ground when you get back here.
I wouldn't go. If you told me I had to go to Paris, all right, hey, Hardy, it's a free trip. You, your wife, and your 2 kids, okay? Catch. You're all going to be staying in the same hotel room in Paris. No, thank you.
It's only
not going.
It's only 4 nights and 3 days.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Now Hardy sees I mean, this is This is going to suck so bad for you. Everyone's going to be so miserable.
Fred, maybe not. Maybe not. Because this destination, just outside of Paris, is a favorite with young travelers.
Okay.
Is it Versailles or is it Jim Morrison's grave?
Oh, that's Jim Morrison's grave. That's not Versailles. I've been to Jim Morrison's grave. Really? It is Versailles. Okay.
I don't know what that said, but it sounded very romantic.
It's very, very good.
Are you going to let them off on their own at all?
In Paris?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Oh,
No.
that's good. So you got to keep them within eyesight.
The one time Marcia and I were there, we saw a panic-stricken family looking for their 12-year-old who they had become separated from, walking around, like downtown somewhere, and it was terrifying. But I'm sure your boys will be fine. They have each other.
Well, they're 15.
And then you can track them now. You have the trackers on their
we got the
phones?
Life 360. We're working with it.
That always works.
It always works. That thing, that is a ripoff. That thing jams up like you wouldn't believe. That thing jammed up. I didn't know if my son was taking a bus back because he had a game. He couldn't pitch. He couldn't have pitched even if they wanted him to because he'd pitched the other day. And so I wasn't going to go to the game. And I'm like looking to see if like the game's over, like on Life 360, and the thing's effing jammed. Like I jammed up for like 20 minutes. Paying for that.
I know. You pay the extra for it?
Stephanie pays for the extra for it.
Jesus.
I don't even know what you get with the extra, but she's made a big production out of paying.
Weekly driver reports.
I'll be pouring over those.
Yeah. All right, Wallach.
Yeah.
Baby birds in Gay Paris would enjoy this old world form of entertainment popular in the parks in Paris. Now, are they known as marionettes or simply puppet shows? Because the high school boys are going to love either one, but you got to know what you're looking for. You don't want to be the ugly American asking for marionettes when it's really puppet shows or vice versa. So what should you be asking for?
Marionettes.
Oh, John.
Darn it.
John Wallach, oui, oui.
No.
Puppet
shows.
Have you at least introduced them to a little bit of the puppetry
They are
before
not
they went
aware.
over there?
No, they are not aware of that.
Have you shown them anything that was set in Paris, like that Amelia or whatever movie? Have you shown them anything?
What? What are you saying?
When I was trying to learn French, they said to watch French films, and there was this movie with
Rochelle.
Rochelle. It's
From Milan. That's from Milan to Minsk.
No, but did you show them anything like about France, like a French film or anything to get them in the mood?
I have not. No.
Good parenting.
All right, John. It's not
Neither
over
of
yet.
them take French in school either. It's going to be fun.
No matter the restaurant.
It's kind of a waste of time, I guess.
No matter
to take
what
French.
restaurant you take the baby birds to in Gay Paris, they can't get enough of this one French menu item. Should you be seeking out cheese or baguettes?
Baguettes.
Oh, John.
Why not?
Well, according to the 17 essential things unexpected to do with kids in Paris, cheese. The kids just love
Are they
eating the
adventurous
cheese.
eaters?
Yes. One is, one isn't. So it should be fun.
And the one it isn't, is he pretty much limited to like 5 things?
6. Wait. 6. But yes, your point is well put.
Because it's not like Italy.
Well, I warned him. No,
there's
no.
pasta. I didn't like the food in France.
We had a long conversation about that. I'm like, all right, you're not going to be able to get these 3 things while we're out there. He said, Dad, I'm going to have a baguette every day. I'm going to be fine. That'll be it.
Well, there are baguettes.
Yes.
And there are McDonald's.
Yes.
Do you like McDonald's?
I've heard, yes.
But they're going to... Don't go to McDonald's, and I'll tell you why.
Why is that?
Because it's going to disappoint them so much because it's not the same. And so it's almost worse than taking them to a restaurant they don't like. Because they'll get McDonald's, and they'll have it will be like soul-crushing. It will be like when the guy in the Twilight Zone finally could read all he wanted to and his glasses broke. It's like you go to McDonald's, finally, there's this haven. Finally, I'll get it.
Yeah.
But it's different. It's not even McDonald's.
Is the beef different? What's different?
It's just if you have a picky eater as a kid, my kids are picky eaters too. If you have a picky eater as a kid, like any variation, like say they love mac and cheese. Well, there's breadcrumbs on the mac and cheese. Well, this is not edible. I can't have this. Like it's like little things like that. Like just McDonald's in other countries isn't the same as here. It's not wildly different. I'll tell you this: Burger King in Ireland is the same.
Oh.
Same thing. You get a Whopper, that's a Whopper.
You're taking the most of your extensive world travels by visiting all the
No, I did it
local
at the Dublin airport. You know why? The food in Ireland, brown and bad.
No.
So when I finally got to the airport and could have a Whopper, I haven't had Burger King, like you had said. I never had Burger King. I was like,
please, flame broiled.
It actually like made me feel better.
Yeah.
I had like a Guinness in a Burger King.
Yeah.
That was what I did.
Finally, John, no family trip to Paris, as you're about to embark on with the baby birds off in Gay Paris, would be complete without this. Is it a trip to the Louvre or a visit to the restored Notre Dame Cathedral?
I'll say the Louvre.
You know what? You can't go wrong on this one. Both are right.
I'm John Wallach on Boston Zone for Sport.
Have you and your wife talked about how miserable your kids are going to be?
No, we have not talked about how miserable they are going to be.
Congratulations on screwing up the one aspect of travel that you are going to miss out on, and that is the solo hotel room for you and your wife, where you can do things that maybe you don't feel comfortable or right about doing in your marital home.
Mm-hmm.
You can do in a hotel room and still not feel oogie about it the next day. You won't be able to do that because you've decided to what? Share a hotel room with your children for 3 nights.
3 nights.
Well, I mean, John it's a very free family. John, there's no restrictions on John. I don't even know what you're referring to be honest with you. Do you? Is there anything you do in a hotel room you wouldn't do at home?
Oh, yeah.
No.
That never crossed my mind when I was married.
No.
You don't have a little more fun sexually with your partner in a hotel room than you would necessarily in your marital bed?
No, not really. No.
Oh.
No. There's nothing.
You're doing it wrong.
Yeah, probably. Fair point. I mean, probably. But you haven't even like co-conspired with what you're going to do when everyone's miserable?
Well, we've had conversations that have lasted a minute saying, they're probably not going to be happy about X, Y, and Z, but screw them, we're doing it anyway, type of thing.
Well, I would say they're not going to be happy about A through Z.
Okay.
I don't think it's just going to be the last 3 letters of the alphabet.
Okay, you know what? You might get
Are you
your
dreading
wish.
this?
No, I'm not. I'm not dreading this at
Fred's
all.
here to tell you should be.
Well, no.
And you've been very supportive.
In Fred's, at Fred's world.
You're the one calling them baby birds. I never did that.
I gave him 17 essential things to do with the kids.
Are they at school today?
Yes, they are.
Okay, good.
Yeah, they are at school today.
They at least don't appreciate school now.
No, Fred, you may very well get your wish. Fred's wish is for me to come back from vacation miserable.
No, it's not. I swear to God, it's not. I swear on everything, it's not. I don't want you to be miserable at all. That wouldn't make me happy.
Okay.
That's not. I don't want you to think that.
You may get your wish,
but
not your wish. But
it's not my wish. No. I know it's going to suck. I'm more. It's your own. It's a hell of your own. Look, if they go, I want your kids to be miserable, John. That's exactly what I want.
No.
If you come back and say they're miserable, it will make me so happy. I despise your children. I just want them to.
That's not what I said, and you know that's
No,
not
I know.
what I
I'm
said.
kidding.
But you will derive a certain amount of pleasure from being right.
No, I won't. No, if he, how about this? I swear on everything that if John came back and said, actually, it was a good time, I'll say you're lying. And then if he can convince me that he's telling the truth, I'll feel good for him, happy for him. I don't want him to be miserable. I'm just saying, and maybe it's just my children, but I would never, ever, 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 ever right now take my kids. I might take them to Italy, and I would take my daughter to London. I'd take my daughter to London because there's enough to do there that she would do. She would appreciate, I could take her to plays and concerts and stuff. My son would be completely miserable there. But Paris, especially Paris, is so European. And it's a lot different. It's just, I just know it's hard for an adult a lot of times if you're not overly cultured, and myself included, to appreciate everything that you're looking at and to get the right perspective and the right headspace. To go wow, we don't have this in the United States. These are ancient buildings, relatively, not ancient, but they're, 1600s, 1500s. Mm-hmm. The artwork and this, they don't do this anymore. All the mural, all that stuff. It takes even a lot of discipline for an adult to do that. Kids don't have the capacity. And if your kids do, if you're listening and your kids loved Paris and something like that, then congratulations, you win. Your kids are very cultured and probably very intelligent. My kids would not enjoy it. No. No, I don't want you to be miserable at all. No, I don't want that. I swear to God, I don't want that. I don't want anyone to be miserable. I won't believe you when you say you're not, but then I'll have to quiz you, and then if I feel you're telling the truth, then I'll feel good for you. Henry Rollins, go ahead.
Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning, Henry. You have a vast touring experience, so go ahead.
Yes, I have an alternate vacation idea for Wallach if it's quick enough to change. He needs to rent a cargo van, get the entire family in there, $3 a day per diem, shows every day. Remember, if you're not playing, you're still paying. 18 dates in 11 days, get home, hit the free weights, and punch each other in the chest.
That is true. He's referring to Henry Rollins' book, Get in the Van, which just seems like Opus Dei. They just black flag toured in the most miserable conditions for no reason. No reason at all.
Have
All
a
right.
good trip, Wallach.
Yeah, enjoy yourself, Johnny.
Thank you very much.
You've already taken your pre-show dump, so everything's downhill from here. All right, very good. We will be back in just a moment with Ty Anderson. There's a lot to talk about.
More.
Corner. It's banking. Well crafted. From Brookline Bank. Member FDIC.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the
target.
Kind of looks like a poodle. It's an effing poodle, dumbass. Mike Watt did a solo record with Eddie Vedder on guitar and Dave Grohl on drums.
Tugboat, yeah.
And it was awful.
I disagree. There's good songs on it.
No,
Jesus.
Adam. No, Adam and I have argued about this album countless times.
Everyone hates it but me.
Yeah. Ball Hog or Tugboat, Mike Watt.
You know the only reason that it was ever that you even know about it is because of the presence of.
Oh yeah, because Grohl and Vedder and all the Evan Dando was on it. Yeah, it was like all those guys that were inspired by Watt and Minutemen said, hey, let's go make a record for Mike Watt so we can sell it and make a lot of money off of it and live okay for a little while.
So Del the Funky Homo Sapien played the Arsenio Hall show, and his band was Mike Watt, Mike D on drums, and someone else famous on guitar.
Yeah.
And
is it
very
Thurston
cool.
Moore from
No.
Sonic Youth?
It was someone good at guitar. It wasn't a foppish piece of garbage. That guy's a dick.
Yeah, he is.
Like a total dick. Watch the Nardwar interview.
Yeah, he's
with
addicted.
Sonic Youth.
Don't be mean to Nardwar. Like, that's rule number one in the music industry.
I don't understand why you would be mean to Nardwar. Like,
because you're a dick.
Even if you were like in a bad mood, like on the road, I don't understand like why you would be mad at a guy being like overly nice to you.
Right.
Ty Anderson is but knows of Mike Watt, I would imagine. He's the host of the hockey show Saturday mornings from 9 to 11. He, of course, covers the Bruins very well for the Sports Hub. Hi, Ty.
Hi, Fred.
Thank you so much for joining us. Jim Montgomery, what's his face? Jim McBride at the Globe had a sit down with Charlie Jacobs. Look, I think the Jacobs are fine owners. I have no problem with them. But I do want to read you this quote that I've been a little fixated on, and I want your opinion on this. In fairness to this show, this is not a new idea. We have been following Jim Montgomery since he was fired. I do like Jim Montgomery a lot personally. It is maybe clouding my view a little bit, so I want your opinion. This is Charlie Jacobs talking about the beginning of the season. I feel it was a bit disorganized. There was a real lack of structure. You see teams come through, they have a system, they have perhaps a fallback play, a breakout play, something. And when I watched the Boston Bruins start the season, it was just chaos. There was no organization. I had a difficult time understanding that given Monty's record. I don't know the answer that other than to say something changed. And at that point, you've shot for the groceries, you've made the meal at this point. What are you going to do? Monty didn't necessarily have any answers. And at that point, we had to make a decision. Two things about that. I had a difficult time understanding that given Monty's record, that part, and Monty didn't necessarily have any answers. Interpret that for me.
I do believe that the feeling that they had was that Montgomery was not as engaged as they would have liked. Now, there are reasons for that. He was not happy with his contract negotiations. From my understanding, there was an offer that was pulled. He felt like he was being lowballed throughout the process. He wanted John Cooper money. The Bruins were not offering John Cooper money. And I think that there was an element from those from within that felt like he was not as committed as he was in years past.
Do you buy that? Because he seemed committed, at least demonstrative. He was very demonstrative. Do you buy that he was not as committed?
There were players that didn't feel like that they were getting the same Montgomery that they got perhaps in years past.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, that's how I'd put that. But I also think that. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you. Go ahead.
No. I would also say that then don't have him be a lame duck coach.
Right.
You got don't put him in that situation. That if you're worried about that or you think that you're going to have doubts about a guy's commitment or whatever, take care of him before then. This is where the Bruins sort of situation as a team that grinds down people that are in their system that they are negotiating with, this is where that comes back to hurt them. Look at the Marchand situation, the way that kind of unfolded, right? You wouldn't say that Marchand wasn't committed, but if you're negotiating with a team for months and months and months, and they're grinding you down, and they don't want to take care of you, you start to get that mental feeling of do these guys even want me here? Why am I doing this?
Well, it happened to Swayman too, and he didn't like the way that negotiation went. But here's the thing: is that obviously the players would, if they're feeling that way, they're the ones being affected. But here's what bugs me: is they felt the same way about Cassidy, and so if Cassidy was too mean, and then he goes off and wins his Stanley Cup the next year, and then Montgomery's not engaged enough, and then he goes out and takes a Blues team that arguably is worse than your team while healthy, and takes them into the playoffs, well, then no one's going to be satisfactory. You understand what I'm saying? And I don't think that's sports talky. I think it's a fair point.
No, I'd agree. But I also think that, like, even if Charlie feels that way, he can't say it. He can't say it on Wednesday after the team fell out of the picture entirely while the Blues went 24-3 out of the Four Nations break. Like, you can't say it then. And this is the problem. Like, if it always comes back to the coach, then let's just say that Don Sweeney and Cam Neely have a job for life. Because I don't think that Jim Montgomery is the difference between this team making the playoffs or not, because I think the roster was that bad. I do think the roster stunk. You needed scoring. You went out and you signed Nikita Zadorov for 6 years at $5 million per, which is fine, I guess, but it wasn't a need for you. The pressing need was scoring. They needed scoring. They didn't need a face masher or someone to go and fight Sam Bennett. Like, as fun as that may be, and as much as I enjoy that, it wasn't a pressing need for this team. You looked at how they lost. It was because they didn't have enough scoring. The Panthers were able to key in on David Pastrnak and take him away. And once that happened, it was, okay, who on this team is going to beat us? And then they walk away from Jake DeBrusk. They walk away from Danton Heinen. They walk away from JVR. The latter two are not, high impact scorers, but you didn't replace them. That's why you stunk. Not because of Jim Montgomery not having the answers. You get and they talk about, the groceries been purchased. Yeah, but what if the groceries were rotten when you bought them?
Yeah, there's no debate that they screwed up the offseason. I mean, there's absolutely none. And what's scary about it is that you can't do anything now. So Lindholm was a mistake. That's inarguable. Lindholm was a mistake. Zadorov, whatever. Like you said, it's not a need. He's big, fine. And then you pray you didn't make a mistake choosing Swayman and giving him that deal. So, not only, Ty, did you not serve your team for what they needed, the pieces that you committed to aren't very good right now.
Right. That's the biggest. You look at this roster at the end of the year, I'm pretty sure the Bruins are one of 3 teams, I want to say, in the NHL that only had one player or less have over 60 points. And it was David Pastrnak. Like this is not a roster built to win by 2024-25 NHL standards. The Boston Bruins built a team built to win in 1998. They're like, oh, we're big and we forecheck hard. It's like, okay, well, you got to score a goal still, too. I believe they finished the year with, I want to say, 35 or 36 games where they maxed out at 2 goals or less. You're not going to win many games in 24-25 that way. The league is completely evolved beyond that, and the Bruins have to adapt to that, and they haven't. The Bruins are convinced that every star player has to be Patrice Bergeron, and that's great, but it also sort of diminishes what Bergeron was, that if you think that you can find Bergerons left and right and that's how you're going to win, you're not going to win. The game is changing, and you got to adapt with that. And the Bruins, it feels like, are woefully behind the rest of the league when it comes to having star power, having offensive talent, and identifying offensive talent.
So they want a guy who's a two-way player. They want a guy that maybe isn't the highest end scorer, but has no weaknesses in his game. Is what you're saying? They're not willing to go to an elite scorer whose job it is to put the puck in the net. Is what you're saying? Is that they want to they don't value that as much as they value someone who is effective all over the ice.
I believe that has been a massive problem for them.
Yeah,
is that
and Bergeron's a Hall of Famer, and
right.
You're like you said, you're not going to find him. Find guys who can score goals. They exist. So what's the 1 second, John? What's the recipe for the off season then? What would you do this off season?
Well, I would absolutely throw $14 million at Mitch Marner. I would, and I know that that's a lot of money, and it's gonna shock some people, but I think that you desperately need a reason for fans to get in your building again. There's no reason for anybody to. I mean,
careful.
I know.
Sean and Hardy might get on after you. Go. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
There is no reason for fans right now to pay the prices that the Bruins want their fans to pay. It is the second highest get-in America behind MSG. And what are the reasons to go to the game right now? What is a reason to go to the game besides shipping up to Boston, which you can hear on Spotify, and drinking beers for $22? I mean, like you need a reason to get people in your building. You need more star talent. You need more star power. And I think a guy like Mitch Marner is worth it for you. You look at sort of your roster as well. All your core pieces are locked up, right? Like Pastrnak, McAvoy, Lindholm, Swayman. Whether or not you believe that those are four pillars to build a true, cup contender is up for debate, of course. But you don't have like a monster extension coming for any of your other players that you're worried about. So this is the time to go out and to make a big move, make a big splash. And a guy like Mitch Marner, it immediately props up whoever he's playing with on a line. It's another 90-point, 100-point kind of player. You need that right now. And so I would go out and get a legit star player. And I think that's where it has to begin for them. And I thought that letter that Charlie Jacobs had to the fans on Wednesday kind of alluded to they're going to spend some money and they're going to go out and they're going to get somebody big. And I think that's what they have to do right now because it's what I said off the jump. Like, they do not have enough star power and offensive weaponry to hang with pretty much anybody right now in the NHL, in my opinion. So that's where it would start for me if he hits market on July 1, which is always a bit of an unknown. That's not a guarantee that he's going to actually hit the market.
What do you know about the top of the draft, Ty? They, in theory, will have a top 5 pick.
Yeah, this draft is pretty interesting. I know there was a show that appeared on 2 to 6 that said it's a 2-player draft. I don't agree with that. Okay. If you're picking in the 5 or 6 range, which the Bruins should be doing, you should be able to get a pretty good center. It's if you drop down to 7, that's a little bit worrisome for them in terms of, if you can remain in that 5 to 6 range, you're guaranteeing yourself one of Anton Friendel, Caleb Denoyer, Porter Martone, who's a winger, I know, but like you should be able to get a high impact player as long as you are in that 5 to 6 range.
Before, why are you undercutting him? If Philadelphia wins tonight, you 4th worst record.
Yeah, basically. So if for those out there who are unaware, I wrote about this on the website, 985thesportshub.com. You basically want Philly to win tonight.
Yes.
Like if Philly wins, Fred, to your point, it locks you into the 4th best odds of winning the draft lottery. It's not a massive difference. I know it's 9.5% versus 8.5, but it bumps you up a little bit. And the other part is that if you fall to 5, you're either picking 1, 2, 3 or 5, 6, 7. You can't move up to 4th overall. So locking into the 4th best odds would be ideal for this team because I think this is the only way that they are going to get that star center. Like a guy like Mitch Marner can hit the open market and become a free agent, but it feels like we keep hitching our wagons to like, okay, well, like Draisaitl could hit the market, Barkov could hit the market. Now we're looking at Jack Eichel. Like, those guys don't hit the market, and so you got to draft and develop that high end center. And so the Bruins should have that opportunity if they are picking in that 5 to 6 range because they might not be superstars, but they're going to be high motor, high compete, 60, 75 point guys that will help you bridge the gap between yourself and Florida and Toronto right now down the middle.
Okay, well, good stuff, Ty Anderson. We appreciate it. Read him on the Sports Hub. He does a great job as we get into a very interesting offseason for the Bruins. Thanks, Ty.
Anytime, guys.
Thanks,
All
Ty.
Very good. Here are the headlines.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox beat the Rays in Tampa last night 1-0. David Hamilton's 3rd inning home run handed the Sox the lead. They didn't give back. They have tonight off. They'll play Chicago, the White Sox, at Fenway Park tomorrow evening. Alex Cora told the media before last night's game there's a good chance both Brian Bayo and reliever Liam Hendriks are back with the big club by next week. Bruins regular season is over. Team CEO Charlie Jacobs told the media yesterday he still has full confidence in the franchise's front office. And the NBA play-in tournament continued last night. Dallas beat the Kings in Sacramento 120-106. Miami won in Chicago 109-90. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Boston Vision. Make 2025 the year you ditch the glasses and contacts and start seeing 2020 with a LASIK procedure from the team at Boston Vision. Book a free evaluation today at bostonvision.com. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9 o'clock.
bring the Sports Hub app with you so you can hear more of Todger and Hardy.
That's what I want on my tombstone.
On the Sports Hub.
Everyone's up clowning around, Johnny, while you and I are in here. John's going on vacation. I can see if he's clowning around, but I got no one except Adam, John, and I are paying any attention to the show.
That's right.
I told Nick I would not go back on the show until he made a basket on the mini hoop in the producer's studio, and he was 4 feet away, and it was a minimum of 10 shots before he made one.
I find that hard to believe.
And then he said at some point, I used to play basketball.
No.
Yeah.
No.
He
Sure,
did.
He's very good.
In the circus. He was in a
sad face for me.
He was in a. The act was they would all get out of a car and then do an impromptu game.
Oh, all 10 of them.
Yeah, and then everyone would go, "Oh, that's silly. Look at these little guys running
The
around
Harlem
playing."
Gnome Trotters.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there you go. All right, very good.
Fox Sports has done a little exercise here. If the NFL had an expansion draft, who would go number one and who takes a non-quarterback first? So, with all the players available right now, what team takes who? And this is just, based on these writers from Fox Sports.
All right, so obviously Mahomes goes first.
Tennessee takes Patrick Mahomes number one. At number two, who do the Browns take?
Burrow.
Incorrect, Fred.
Okay, so they don't take Burrow.
I actually got this one right. Just before I looked at it, I thought, this guy would go number two.
Okay. Is age a factor? Not really.
No, it's another quarterback.
Okay, it's another quarterback. It's not. Wow. It's not Burrow, huh?
You're too close.
Is it Lamar Jackson?
Oh, Fred.
Just can we give him a hint?
Oh, it's Josh Allen.
There you
go.
There you go.
All right, Josh Allen, then Joe Burrow.
Nope. Lamar Jackson is number 3. Joe Burrow goes 4 to the Patriots.
Who would you rather have? The Burrow or Jackson? I'd rather have Burrow. I would take Jackson, believe me, but I would rather have Burrow than Jackson. And I might rather have Burrow than Josh Allen. That's what tripped me up.
I don't love Joe Burrow as much as the rest of the world does. I'd probably take Lamar Jackson. I'd take Allen and Lamar Jackson.
I'd take the dual threat guy before I take Burrow. Burrow's in the right spot.
Well, I think
that
I think Burrow's a better quarterback than Josh Allen. I think he's in a terrible situation in Cincinnati.
Okay, these next two, it'd be interesting to see if you get these.
Okay.
2 more quarterbacks at 5 and 6.
All right. All right. So it's no one in the AFC East. It's no one in the Central. It's no. I wonder if it's C.J. Stroud is one of them, but maybe not. It's not Dak Prescott. It's not Jalen Hurts. Jaden Daniels, one of those two.
To the Jaguars, and then at number 6.
Okay, so it's
bit of a head scratcher.
It's no one in the NFC South. It's no one in the NFC West. It's no one in the NFC North. It can't be Jalen Hurts.
No, he goes 7 to the Jets.
Jesus Christ!
They say the Raiders
fake drafts. They're not good.
They say the Raiders would take Justin Herbert.
Oh, get out of here! Oh my goodness! What is the deal with writers and Justin Herbert?
I don't know.
Justin Herbert is fascinating to me. He didn't win in college, and he doesn't win in the pros. And he is not good. You've seen him. If you're a Patriot fan, they just befuddle him every time they play him.
Yeah. The argument for it is he's under a contract.
Oh God! No,
you keep the contracts. He's got the 6'6" frame, that kind of thing.
Yeah, okay, his contract.
That's
what fun.
C.J. Stroud, Jared Goff, Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield are all next off the board, along with Caleb Williams to the Cowboys at 12. The first non-quarterback they say would go in an expansion draft is the Dolphins at number 13, who would take who?
They would take Justin Jefferson.
See, I would take receiver too, and I would go with that. No, it's
Myles Garrett.
Yes, very good, Fred. Very good.
All right, Myles Garrett, and then Justin Jefferson has to be the first receiver off the board.
He is after the Colts take Dak Prescott at 14. The Falcons would take Justin Jefferson at 15th overall.
Okay, and so Myles Garrett is an edge rusher. Is Aiden Hutchinson one of the guys in the first round?
Aiden Hutchinson does not appear in the first round.
Okay, is there like a left tackle?
No.
Is there a left tackle that someone would start their team with? An interior lineman, if Chris Jones was younger.
More edge rushers.
Chris Jones, oddly enough, goes. This is a snake draft.
No, I'm sorry.
Chris Jones goes to
Rashawn
the Patriots
Slater Rashawn Slater to the Texans.
Yeah, okay. So yeah,
they have the Patriots taking Chris Jones in the snake draft all the way at the end of the second round.
Okay. All right. Well, it's an interesting exercise. Justin Herbert kind of blows the whole thing up.
Yeah, you got Micah Parsons, Jamar Chase, Tristan Wirfs.
Oh yeah, there we go. Seahawks at 18.
But is Wirfs on the left side or the right side? I guess he's on the left side. You take him this spot.
Well, he's got to be a left tackle. Yeah. I don't know anything about him, but
he was a right tackle when Brady was there. So
okay. Well, the thing is that I know you might take a left tackle. I can't list the left tackles in the NFL. I know them throughout the ages. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you a running list of good left tackles in the NFL right now. I apologize. My knowledge is not that deep.
I will not fault you for that. As Felger likes to say, do the O-line talk on your own time, unless it's Will Campbell to the Patriots, and then I'll talk about it.
Well, it is interesting who people will draft and who's available since they need a left tackle. All right, when we come back, you'll notice this station's going to be very empty today and tomorrow after this show because the boys are on a trip, and we'll get into it off-air show style. So you know there's going to be some bombs, some obscenities knocking around with that. So we'll have that for you in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
It's up.
Beat the Kings in Sacramento 120-106. They'll visit Memphis tomorrow night. Miami won in Chicago 109-90. They now go to Atlanta to see who the Eastern Conference's 8th seed is. And ESPN is reporting that there is interest by the Houston Rockets in making a deal with Phoenix for Kevin Durant. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Rodenheiser Home Services. Rodenheiser is offering first-time customers an exclusive discount on an AC system check for just $109. Go to Rodenheiser.com to schedule today. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9:30.
New England plays here.
Ball down the right side. There's a separation. Yes. Touchdown pass. Yes. Perfect dive from Drake May.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Is elongating.
Weekday morning.
Here goes Hardy.
Toucher and Hardy.
I no longer love State.
Let's go. Let's ride.
98.5.
Like, let's roll the dice.
The Sports Hub.
And when you get yourself started, it's hard to stop. You just go for your partners, you know what? And then you GRABTAGTCAKES.
Grab them cakes. Is that all you do? Grab them cakes. I don't care what it takes. Grab them cakes. Junkyard Dog. I remember buying this album. It's funny because the tape was in a vinyl album thing. So it was a vinyl album.
I remember those.
And the tape was in the top left corner. I bought it at Kmart in Farmington Hills, Michigan, off of Orchard Lake Road. I actually remember finding this. I didn't, when you're a kid, you don't know these things, what's in the store. You're not going there specifically for anything. So, maybe it was Christmas Eve and my father was buying my mother all her gifts, which he would do perennially at the Kmart, and then my mother would break down crying on Christmas morning. And so, yeah, it's good stuff. And so I was at Kmart, and Kmart had the very limited record section. But so I'm going through the record section. I'm probably 7, 8 years old. And I see this wrestling album. I might have even been 10. And I see this wrestling album, and it's I loved the WWF. And I went and I took it home, and I went, this is terrible. Why'd I buy this? This isn't good at all.
Don't go messing with a country boy, Hillbilly Jim. Didn't like that one?
I loved Hillbilly Jim. I got Hillbilly Jim. I thought Hillbilly Jim was funny. I thought it was a good gimmick.
Yeah.
I loved wrestling. I was at WrestleMania 3.
I was just looking at the track listing. Mean Gene Okerlund with a song on that.
I think I can remember what it is. It's a real song, right? Like a cover song? Yeah. Okay, I think I remember what it is. If you gave me a minute to think about it. But all right, look, some of us gave this up when we were 10, 11 years old. But some people are still very, very, very.
Dare you?
That's terrible.
I'm being serious. Some people stop playing baseball in Little League. Some people play, through college. It's just a thing. It's just, sometimes people give up on stuff.
Absolutely.
But here, Sports Talk Radio has got a lot of wrestling fans, like a lot of them. And right now, the Kowloon crew is either at or en route to WrestleMania, which is in Vegas. And if you follow Jimmy Stewart on social media, because he's basically like in the business of wrestling now. Like he's backstage and everything. And so there's these like signings and all this stuff that goes on beforehand.
We had Mercedes Moné sit here, and we asked her if she had heard of she knew James Stewart. No, but I heard of James Stewart.
Yeah, but I've heard their relationship isn't the greatest.
Oh, all right.
Whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because she was at one point Catwoman. And I gave her a big sack of cats, and they came back alive.
Yep.
So you're evil. You turn heel and kill them. Turn a heel and suffocate them. Throw the bag in the river, Monet. All right. So here is James Stewart. Is Felger on this too? Is he contractually obligated to be on the?
Yes.
Now this is where it is funny to all of us that
just Jimmy Stewart.
They get to cut loose with F-bombs.
Not forced at all.
No, it sounds pretty forced, but it's great. It's great. I would love to do one if they could sell an afternoon show. I don't have to get after show for us. Anything you can sell, we'll do it. We've said we'd do it. I don't need to get paid for it. You get a sponsorship. You want us to talk for 20 minutes and answer questions after the show. I have no problem doing that. But the problem is the salespeople aren't here in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a bit of an albatross for us because they are here during the Felger and Maz show because it's on at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And that's easier to get up to come into work at 2 than it would be to get here, before 10. That would require getting up much earlier. So here is Felger and
Too
Maz,
much, maybe?
who have no shortage of endorsements. Here they are. Felger and Jimmy Stewart talking about the trip to WrestleMania.
Not Big Jim Murray, just Jimmy Stewart, was also large. Joins us here on the off-air show, the executive producer of Felger and Maz. How you doing, Big Jim?
Good, you?
Oh, just peachy, thank you.
I'm excited. I'm just amped up for Vegas. I can't wait. I fly out tomorrow, just ready to go. Get that WrestleMania vibe. Going to meet up with some people I know because the whole wrestling community thing, spend a week out there. You got to spend a week out there. You go see people, catch up with people, the whole wrestling community.
It's like
together.
the Super Bowl of wrestling.
Yes, absolutely. So we have we being Mike Riley.
All right, yeah. So it's Sarge, Joe, Andy Wong. I'm guessing Jared Carrabas. Or
He's
he
part of it. I don't know.
Can
if
he
went.
leave during baseball season, or is it?
I would
the
bet not.
Section 10 podcast does not allow for that.
No.
So let's see. It's Sarge, Joe, Andy Wong, James Stewart.
Yeah.
And if Carabas doesn't go, then who would be the other guy? The Calhoun crew is more than 4 men. It's like the Rat Pack.
Yeah.
So James, we've gone over this before. James Stewart is Sinatra. Joe is Dean Martin. No. Andy Wong is Sinatra.
Yeah.
Joe is Dean Martin. Sarge is Joey Bishop. And then there's got to be some loser like Lawford character. And then Sammy Davis Jr. is Jimmy Stewart.
Right.
He's glad handed. He keeps it all together. Because Andy Wong,
probably
I think,
the most multi-talented of the bunch. That's James Stewart. You know?
Because you can't make him Frank because Andy Wong
has
is
to
really
be
the
Frank.
difference between you getting in and out. Like Andy Wong, James gets you ringside. Andy Wong gets you the box. You understand?
I do.
And Joe's got that subtle thing about him, like Dean Martin. He's instead of always having a cocktail in his hand, he always has just a tomahawk steak.
We being Mike Riley, Joe Murray, and Andy Wong. We have a suite. We have a 4-person suite at the Raiders Stadium.
That sounds pretty fancy.
Yeah, we have comfy chairs.
How'd you guys afford all that?
It's a loose way of putting it. I would say that I have a friend with the Raiders who took good care of us.
Nice.
Now, do we believe this?
No.
I don't believe this.
I'm thinking Andy Wong.
I like James, and I know him very well. This operator thing, like knowing people with the Raiders, like I don't know about that. Sounds like Andy Wong bought a box.
Mm-hmm.
A 4-person
it's meant
seating
for,
box?
Well,
It's not a
it's
suite.
it's meant for like 100 people, but it's just the 4 guys with a little leg room.
Right.
It's like the difference between first class or private jet. I'm talking liquid.
Right.
I'm not talking about, going on a nice vacation, flying first class.
Not
I'm
talking about some Wall Street stiff making $400,000 a year flying first class. I'm talking about rich enough to own your own jet.
Yeah, liquid. I'm talking about never having to think about money again.
$100 million a player.
That's right.
So it's just you, Joe Murray, Andy Wong, the owner of the Kowloon.
Yep.
Who's the 4th?
Sarge.
And Sarge.
Yeah, Mike Riley.
The 4 of you in a luxury box.
It's all separate off. It's catered. The only thing we have to pay for is booze.
You have a problem with Mike Riley? With Sarge?
For the show's sake, I always downplay it. But no, Mike and I are good friends.
Okay.
Mike was my intern back in the Wallach and Dickerson days. That's how far back Mike Riley and I have known each other.
What?
Was he your boss? Was James your boss?
No, actually, the show that Greg Dickerson and I did on weekends at the other place was the very first show that James was a producer for.
Okay.
So we were the co-host. James was a producer.
I
of the
didn't know
show.
there was a Wallach and Dickerson show.
Yeah.
Oh, I did.
For about 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't hear about it?
I didn't hear about it. I just knew that when
Most famous weekend sports talk show.
Just
ever.
go to Boston, the Boston Globe, and search Wallach and Dickerson, and you'll see the front page from the 1999 August 2nd issue.
I just know that when Wallach came to the Sports Hub, you came here to do mornings, and everyone was like scrambling around trying to figure out how to make their way and what to do and what else they were going to be doing. And I remember having multiple conversations with Wallach. I said, "What else?" He said, "Nothing." I said, "Well, how about if you were to do this and that would allow me to do this?" Nope.
Happy where I am. That's it.
He was a bit of a prick to me.
It's not
That's
surprising.
not true.
It is.
Not
little bit.
true at all.
A little bit.
That's why you got to
stop
keep
it.
him in his place.
Oh, please.
Scott Zolak, you have info about the suite at the Raiders Stadium?
Yes, Allegiant Stadium. For whatever reason, I had to do a morning show, which the time changed. So I was there 8 hours before kick. So I walked the entire stadium up the back, like just every suite. The unique thing about it, this is legit, they're not like normal boxes. They do have normal boxes on one level with like 20 seats, but then there's like these mini boxes with like 4 recliners, and there's like a nightclub that has couches that could be like divided into your own boxes. They have these floor end zone, like high-end ones with the champagne and the sectional couches, but you won't be able to see anything. So they've got to be in one of these legit boxes mid-level.
Can I ask you a question?
I said, aha.
Yeah. You are, you played in the NFL. You're involved in the NFL, still calling games. Does James Stewart have the kind of connections in the NFL to be given a free box to a huge event?
I wouldn't say it's free. He probably got a face value. They jack him up. Like, I got connections to get stuff at events at Gillette, but you still pay face,
Right. But is James Stewart that charming? Have
you ever talked to him? Like, have you ever got face to face with him, like 2 feet away?
Yeah, I like him a lot, but I didn't see him as like an operator. He doesn't seem like an operator kind of guy, Like he doesn't.
I think I think it's like that back of your mind type threat. Like, if I don't get this for him, what's going to happen to me?
Yeah,
there it is.
You got that right, Jack.
Breathe into the napkin, right?
Yeah, I turn heel. Hey, I turn heel. Hey, I wonder if there's going to be a ladder match. You know how you win? You grab the bag on top. You got to climb the ladder to get up there. Not so fast. Someone's going to knock down the ladder.
In a ladder match show, that's kind of hard.
Yeah, he goes up 1 rung, 2 rungs, 3 rungs, but his opponent is on the ground. Hurry up, get up there quicker. Your opponent's getting up. Uh-oh, too late. Down goes the ladder. You didn't get the cash. It's
yeah.
You didn't get it. Hey, see, I would have believed if he was like the WWF or WWE gave us the suite. Like, someone with the Raiders, maybe he's not lying.
Somebody at Allegiant, sure, why not?
I don't know. Well, why not? It's in Vegas and he's here. That's why not.
Maybe somebody who used to work at Gillette or the Garden now works out there. You and I both know a couple of people in that situation.
I don't know anyone that does anything. I got no connections anywhere.
Gosher.
Yeah, but I would never ask Dave Gosher for a favor. I like Dave, but I don't know him like that. I would never ask him for a favor. Unless I was going to a Knights game, then I might go, hey.
Yeah.
Like, I'd like to see you as a way to grease the wheel.
I play it up for the show. Yeah.
All right. Alex writes in, look at Felger pretending to care about any of this. I don't care about any of this. I'm not pretending anything. I'm just being a host and setting up my guest on a topic.
There's a good chance that Gronk and Tom Brady will be at WrestleMania.
You're going to a Rob Gronkowski after party.
Yeah. Going to a...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are those kittens dead?
Yeah.
All right. Should we just start digging the grave now?
Yeah.
All right. They're never getting out of the basement, are they?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Did you have to?
I shouldn't have drank that glass of water you gave me.
Yeah.
All right.
Jay Stu, you killed all of your cats, but all the neighbors' cats too?
Too much, maybe?
You've ground up glass in several meals I've ate over the last month.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Thank you, James. All right. Here we go. James.
What else
back.
is on the agenda? I think we're going to get to that.
James, if I get in this van, I'm never coming back.
Yeah. Going to a nightclub.
Which one? Where?
It's the Live. Is there a Live nightclub? It's some beach party. I have all the information, but Gronk and Flo Rida are hosting an after WrestleMania party. And so if you want to go to the club Thursday night, there's wrestlers there. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we're going to the after. I have to dress up club attire. So I'm open to ideas to help me dress for club attire.
Yeah, so do I wear my $1 Million Man t-shirt or do I wear my Hacksaw Jim Duggan t-shirt? Do I bring the 2x4 with me? I will come draped in a flag. I'm going to come dressed as Sergeant Slaughter.
WrestleMania vibe.
U.S. Sergeant.
Because right now,
you don't have anything.
I don't. I'm not that person.
No.
Like I had the great people at Mr. Sid's fit me for a suit, but I'm not wearing a suit to a club.
What's going on with all these connections?
Mr. Sid.
Like, and I'm friends with one of the guys from Mr. Like, legit friends, like equals.
I know them pretty well, and I also know I'm not going in there to like get a suit because I can't afford it.
Well, I've paid for the guy to play golf, one of the guys to play golf with me, Barry Siegel, to play golf with me.
Would you go shopping there?
And he asks. He's like, can we go play at Woodland? Like, he'll just straight up ask. That's money out of my pocket.
But even with
I would
the
not.
friend discount, would you go shop there? It's really nice. It's awesome. I mean, if
he's like, I'll give you like a huge discount, I'd shop there, sure. Like if I needed formal attire, sure. But I would never ask him for it. Like he's like moving and shaking with. I'm like legitimate friends with the guy, and I would never ask. It's never even occurred to me to ask him for a favor. Never.
I think it always occurs to Jay Stu.
It sounds like it. Maybe he's right and I'm wrong.
Right?
Why not?
Too much, maybe?
Well, we can do this. These cats don't deserve to live.
Right?
Why not?
Okay. Sure.
Why not?
We're all going to end up dead anyway.
Right?
Why not?
The more gruesome the death, that you're actually doing something for them. It's at least a story.
Right?
Why not?
Okay.
Why not?
Too much, maybe?
When are you going to see the dead?
What?
Okay, now here we go.
All right.
Oh,
hey, he's interested. He's interested now.
Well, I'm going on a cemetery tour. Very quick.
Haunted Vegas tour.
On Wednesday, I'm going to be seeing all the dead.
When are you going to see the dead?
Friday night.
Okay.
I'm very excited about this because
Who's in
it's
the crew?
Spear. It's me, Andy, and Riley.
Okay. Joe Murray's not doing this?
Joe Murray's not doing this.
Okay.
Good for Joe. Sticking by his guns.
Respect Joe Murray.
It's not even the Grateful Dead playing. It can't be because they're all dead. And not to be funny, like they're.
No, is there even one? There was one remaining living original.
The drummers
member,
are
and I don't know
alive
if he
because they got
still
two
is.
of them for no reason. Phil Lesh might be alive, but the guitar player in Garcia died long ago. He's a real piece of garbage.
Days are the hardest days, don't you know?
But it doesn't seem up to their standards to just have a jukebox play for $1,000 a ticket event at something that you have to be on acid to enjoy. What another man spills. Oh, that sounds like college, baby.
That's why you need two drummers. One guy goes da da, the next guy goes da da. Yeah.
So I'm excited. I need knowledge of like what to expect. So like
a lot of trust fund babies, a lot of people that never worked, soft hands, a lot of that.
Kendra's a deadhead, so she texted me and told me
is she? Pick a lane, honey.
She offered me performance enhancers.
Definitely.
So she said that
the must.
A Formula One influencer deadhead.
Yeah. Right.
You see
so
those
she
a
offered
lot.
you performance
Gambling.
enhancers.
Yeah, you see those.
So would she give him? I got a sheet of acid.
Yeah.
Let's trip. Well, she gave you party favors. So should she give him a sheet of acid? I'm flying with it. Just to let you know. I've been tripping the whole time.
I'm open to hearing everything that I should be expecting, surprise, anything.
Well, misery is what you should be expecting. A horrible experience. Feel like you'll never get the time back is what you should be expecting. To be disgusted.
Like that.
The song is all subjective, what you like for songs.
No, it's not. It's unsubjectively horrible.
No, he's right. It's subjective what you like for songs. These aren't songs.
No, these are long sound. Yeah, these are like soundtracks to French films. What I'm saying is that there's no structure or nothing.
The more mayor, the better. Feels like there's one night where they just let John Boy go. They let him go.
And I've heard Felger say that before. His big thing is that he went to this show that was so magical because John Mayer took the lead.
They just let John Boy go.
And then why don't you just go see? What is the point of the Grateful Dead then?
Go see John Mayer.
Go see John Mayer, who, by the way, I knew before he was famous.
Yeah, I've heard that story.
Friends.
Yeah.
Actual friends?
Equals.
That's pretty rare.
In fact, I was above him. He was trying to get me to play him on the radio.
I'll be into it. I'll mouth and okay. I'll do like the Eddie Vedder thing, right? Like
you don't have to sing.
Okay.
And if you sing, everyone's going to hear it because it's not loud enough.
Got it.
It's not loud enough. They don't chip in for the PA. You're not going to a Dead show, by the way. You're going to the Sphere to hear Dead music. Are they doing a residency? Who's alive in the band?
I don't care enough to look it up, and we got to go to break.
I'd rather see Faster Pussycat. At least Teme Down is still alive. All right, we will be back in just a moment with your emails.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy.
golden ticket I've gotten.
There you have it. Toucher and Hardy resumes on the Sports Hub.
You know, I got an idea for a bit. The email bit. We should do the email bit. It's a great idea. Let's do the email bit.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. If you'd like to email us, you can go to 985thesportshub.com. Jesus Christ, Blind Scott.
Okay, so I set up the separate mailbox for Blind Scott, and I set this up yesterday morning at the start of the show. Right now, without even opening the box, I see in that email 94 emails since 6 a.m. yesterday morning.
Oh my God! That means he actually went over his output from yesterday. Wow,
there's a lot.
Yeah,
so 24. So 28 hours. So he's averaging 3 an hour. Really, if you tease it out over the 28 or so hours since you set up the.
All I'm saying is that
astounding.
In the post-show meeting today, we will read each one and reply to them as a group.
Oh, yeah.
So that we'll
sounds great.
Reply to all of them here starting about a half an hour. Okay. There are 2 living members in the Grateful Dead, says Phil. The big reason why they chose John Mayer to fill in for Jerry is star power, essentially. There was a beef in the Dead community because they all wanted John Keldike, who is a prominent jam band guitarist with the Dead cover band, but he wasn't a big enough name. So the Grateful Dead community initially not thrilled with John Mayer, but they wanted the star power.
Indeed.
That helps to explain it, I guess.
Okay. There's a lot of things about John going to Paris and with his kids, his 2 15-year-old boys. And I can't find the particular email, but there was someone who was like, I would have loved to have gone to Paris when I was 15. I would have loved it. It would have been the greatest. If that's the case, then you are you are a incredibly cultured teen with a wonderful, wonderful, unique relationship with your parents.
Yeah, that email, and this guy is really having some difficulties just kind of dealing with stuff. So
No, that wasn't the one. There was another one.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I don't think it's anything new. I think maybe, going back for decades now, you go back to the 60s or 70s, it might be a tough putt to ask a teen or a tween, a young teen, to go on a European vacation, look at museums and
share a room with your parents
and cathedrals and churches and say this is going to be as much fun as Disneyland.
And never able to get away. It's not even like that you have to go to Disneyland, but like somewhere where there was a little bit of freedom and like things to do that they would enjoy. Hi, Freddie, too, as usual. You've hit the nail on the head with warning John about the woes of Paris and bringing his 2 young hatchlings. What a grand idea to bring your 2 teenage boys to the city of love. The only love John will be getting is from the striped shirt and beret-wearing, cigarette-smoking pigeons around the city as he's sharing his hotel rooms with his 2 kids and his third wife. It's his second wife. My question is, how is John planning on handling the rampant pollution, trash everywhere, the ever-present smell of urine, overpopulation of rats, and persistent pickpockets? I'm sure this will be a vastly different environment than his typical suburban nesting grounds. Selfishly as well, will John be visiting the catacombs in Paris, which another person suggested? That would be one of the reasons I would actually want to visit that abomination of a city. Yeah, have you heard of the catacombs?
I have not.
Yeah, so like underneath the city, there's these like tunnels and stuff, and there's like dead body. Like there's a big history around it. It's actually interesting. That your kids would actually like that.
All right.
That might distract them for a second. But and not the one that you were talking to, like that guy's got his own stuff going on, and I wish him the best. But I got one, and I don't know what I did with it. Blind Scott, maybe I accidentally erased one of this guy's
deletions?
in my mass deletions. Again, Blind Scott, we've talked about this. You don't have to stop emailing or calling into the show. Maybe limit 10 a day. That's a fair amount. I said this yesterday, and I know you wrote back and said that you like me and you respect that. You're not bothering anyone. It's just 10. 10 seems healthy for everyone, for you, for us, everyone. 10. That's enough. That's enough from anyone. From my son, I only want 10 emails. My daughter, 10 emails. My daughter, maybe 11 emails. But that's it. That's all. This is what I'm just opening. John, this is from Stephen or Stefan. John sharing a room with two 15-year-old boys is mind-blowing. I have two boys, 5 and 8, and I think that's a fine age to have connected rooms. Stop clipping their wings, John, and let the little birds fly. That's the thing, because I'm up in the air if I would let my kids in Paris like kind of go off on their own a little bit, and I'm leaning towards no.
Yeah.
It's not a slam dunk no. I would let them in London, and because there's no language barrier. And again, you can like track them and stuff.
Well, you just hit on it right there, Fred. It's the language barrier. If you're in a country that they don't speak your native language and an emergency happens, it makes the emergency that much more difficult to navigate.
Yeah, and maybe harder to track them down.
Correct.
So like, and I'm just thinking of what I would do. I'm not at no point in this am I questioning John's parenting. I'm questioning the enjoyment he's going to have on this trip, which I believe is going to be zero. And then John said, that will make you happy. And I said, no, that honestly will not make me happy. I swear to God. I'd like nothing more to be wrong than to be wrong. Now, will I believe you if you say I'm wrong?
You told me there'll be an inquisition after that to make sure that I'm not lying to you.
I'll do it on the radio.
Oh, okay.
But there will be quite an inquisition, John, if you dare come in here and say that you had a good time.
We had an awesome time, Fred.
Yeah,
Travel was easy.
I'm not gonna buy it for a second. Now, again, part of the reason John is doing is to see his sister who lives abroad in Luxembourg.
Yeah.
Which, again, I would at that point not be concerned at all about the kids having a good time. Because screw you, I want to see my sister. This is your family.
That's half the trip anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, like, that's not my concern. You want to see family. Of course you want to see your family. You see your sister. But of all the places to stop over is the 4 nights in Paris is where I have because even I was getting sick of Paris at the end. And you know me, John.
Yes. Bon vivant.
Exactly. I'm quite the
the
man about the I'm a globetrotter, as they say.
Chopper emails in. I was listening to Zoe and Beetle last week and thought about you guys. McCone said he was running the marathon. Indeed, he is. We're gonna.
That's right.
It's odd too because he's not in particularly good shape. It looks like.
Well,
he's sort of fat. You know.
I've heard this before, and I've read this that when you're training for the marathon, some people will actually gain weight while they're doing it. Now, you're getting into good cardiovascular shape because of all the running, but you are eating so much because you're so ravenous from these runs that you're doing that some people actually put weight on. When they're
How much do you burn
shape.
on like a 10-mile run? Like if you're running at a good pace?
I have no idea.
Because you'd have to eat a lot because you're burning calories just sitting here. So, like, I mean, if I can get into a calorie deficit pretty easy, even if I just walk
about
for like
1,000
an hour.
calories for a 10-mile run.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so and then you're burning 2,000, 1,500 calories just sitting there. 1,500 calories, say, just sitting there. You know, you're putting yourself in a pretty good calorie deficit. 1,000 calories.
But
you gotta be eating a lot.
He said McCone's running the marathon and needed Zoe's help with the playlist. Zoe's first answer. Would you like to guess? Who did Zoe?
The outfield, the Josie.
It's a good guess, but no.
LMFAO.
Oh, that's closer, John. But no, he said. Of
Party
course.
Rock.
No.
Mommy got an ass like a donkey with a monkey. Look like King Kong.
He said, "Oh, you're gonna need Pitbull."
Wait, so what? You would outrun your ears? John runs the Pitbull. How is this? How is this? Why is he even rapping? Just play the music in the background.
We go boogie, oogie, oogie, jiggle, wiggle, and dance like the roof on fire.
Yeah, he's
having fun.
Esoteric will substantiate this. He might be the worst rapper of all time.
Me not working hard. Yeah, right. Picture that with a Kodak. Or better yet, go to Times Square, take a picture of me with a Kodak.
Yeah. I don't. It says Kodak twice, and I don't think it's even a different kind of Kodak.
If he's not number one, he's top 3.
I can't. He's better. Will Smith is better than him.
Sure, as Will Smith tries. He's not even like trying. He's just saying like random phrases over dance music. But John runs to it. John, will you keep up your running regiment on vacation? Will you run the streets of Paris?
No, I will not. No, I will probably not run. Paris.
What if John comes back with a beret instead of like how he gets a baseball cap everywhere?
That was hypothesized about in an earlier email. I can't find it yet.
If will you come back? Will you look for? In all honesty, will you look for a baseball cap in Europe from some obscure team?
Probably.
Are you taking them to a sporting event like a?
I actually looked into soccer matches. PSG, Paris Saint-Germain, is out of town.
Oh, of course.
Could you say the name of that again, please?
Paris Saint-Germain.
John Wallach.
Where are they playing? Maybe you could take a train.
I think they're in Milan, actually.
Oh, well, Milan.
Wallach is a bird.
Well, if there's no,
What was that?
Wallach is a bird.
if there's no sports, you could bring them to some live music.
Jazz Wallach.
There's plenty of jazz in Paris.
Yeah, man, I used to get it. Man, Paris, anything go. They appreciate that sweet jazz. And you know what I appreciate? That heron.
Jazz Wallach.
I
John,
understand you hooked up with
a
Quincy Jones, who blew into Paris for a while. Is that true?
I'm gonna make John ride a bike without no seat. Get him ready. That's right, Johnny.
Is that a baguette that you're holding there?
John Wallach, oui, oui.
Is that a baguette in your pants, John?
You're just happy to see me.
It's both.
It's called Go Down.
Here it is. Any word on if John will be purchasing a beret on his trip to France and Luxembourg, or do you think he'll hold off on that to purchase a really cool one when he hits the Jersey airport?
What are you flying out of?
We have a plane. That's what it's called, to JFK, I think, or
Okay,
Newark.
you've been overseas more than I have.
Yeah.
I asked him when he's leaving today. He said 3. I said, "When's your flight?" And he said 5:30. I said, "You're going overseas?
I would leave earlier.
Don't you have to go to the airport earlier than that?"
It's not international. The first trip.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
So you do all that checking in once you get to.
No. I think you have to go through. Do you have to go through customs in New York?
No.
Well, because customs in New York sucks.
No. I think it's customs when we get there.
Customs when you get there.
Yes.
But you'll have to fill the stuff out on the plane. Yeah, you might be all right. But the thing is that you do not want to fly back from Europe through any of the New York airports. It's especially JFK. It's hell.
I think it's actually Philadelphia we're flying back through.
Oh, good. Maybe you could
he's
go see your
looking
in-laws.
up as he says that. He was checking the ceiling for an
I'm
answer.
trying to remember.
I think they're going to New York on the way
No.
back.
We're going.
May I see your itinerary?
No, you may not.
Pull up Expedia.
The Philadelphia airport sucks too.
Philadelphia airport is awful.
Yeah, it sucks.
It has been.
You're better off coming
a
in
long
through
time.
Boston if you could, but you can't.
Can't.
Because you had to save money. Like you're
Yes.
keeping those kids in the same room with you for 4 nights.
Yep.
You guys are
I am John
you're gonna
Wallach
be
on
so
Boston
miserable,
Zone
you
for Sport.
stupid idiot.
What is
I
that?
hope you have fun.
I am John Wallach on Boston Zone for Sport.
I don't even know what that said.
I am John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports.
Oh, okay.
And this says John Wallach is a bird.
Wallach is a bird.
All right. Is that AI?
John Wallach, oui, oui.
No, it's just text to voice.
Okay, very good. All right. We will be back in let Johnny go on his way. He's already taken a dump. So he's halfway there.
Johnny Wall game.
All right, we'll be right back.
John Wallach, oui, oui.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox bounce back from an ugly Monday night in Tampa to win their series with the Rays.
had to knock on wood, but I never had it yet.
Oh, you said you didn't want to hear more music in the morning. Okay. Here's more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub. We know what you're thinking. What could I possibly have missed from the show?
6-2 stack month. 6-2 stack month. Ready.
It's time for The Stack on Toucher and Hardy.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy, and we're finishing things up as John is on his way out of town, which have the run of the place.
Right.
You know, but I did look. I'm like, why is my layover so long, and why am I leaving so early? This doesn't make any sense. And the only flights they had were later, or earlier rather. And I wonder if because of Easter, there's just not as many flights. Because I'm coming back direct. I don't know. It's all very interesting. I still have that lump in my stomach too.
Oh, yeah, but you figured out what that.
I'm kind of hypothesizing about what it is.
Yeah, it's a marble.
Yeah.
He swallowed a marble.
Yeah.
Who hasn't?
The reporter who found himself subject to all types of criticism for talking with a girl and trying to start a relationship with a girl at the Braves game.
Yeah, asked for her telephone number.
That's right.
And that was met by several female
most
sports
insanely
people.
inappropriate thing one had ever seen.
No, it's just the most insane thing that they'd ever seen. Like that it was like they literally could. They said, "I literally can't believe this happened." That it was that crazy.
Yeah.
Which I would say. I weep for your social life. If no one's ever talking to you that you've never met before, that's kind of the point of living.
Well, it was pointed out by several people last night, waiting to see if he would be reprimanded or somehow shunned in any way. No, on the broadcast again, and this time riding a giant hot dog seesaw for the Schneider's looks like display at the ballpark.
Yeah, so here's what he does for a living.
He's Edward R. Murrow.
As we discussed yesterday, his job is garbage. I bet you he's paid hourly, and his job is to sit there and do stupid things and advertise things in the stadium. It's a nonsense job. Again, I like Jenny Dell a lot. She was great on the show. She would tell you the job at the games is nonsense. She knew she's not these people aren't walking around doing these jobs thinking that they're breaking Watergate. They know what their job is. They're trying to get somewhere else. Like the fella they had doing Nesson is now on SportsCenter. Like Roach did the thing. Like they're doing it to do something else. No one wants to do this for very long. It's a job to do something else eventually. It's just insane. I already went on my rant yesterday, and it was at the same time. I thought we should play it again, quite frankly. It was so brilliant. But I mean, you gotta just calm down. Put things in a little bit of perspective and calm the F down. You're a child. You're a bunch of children. Jesus Christ. But nothing. but you don't understand. No, I understand completely.
Yep.
Nothing.
Yeah. Don't throw tantrums and act childlike. Be grown up.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Right. You don't care about this, but I still believe that The Who is the greatest rock and roll band of all time, and they are parting ways with their longtime drummer, Zach Starkey. Do you know who Zach Starkey is the son of, Fred?
Oh, yeah. I wonder if I've ever listened to Eddie Trunk before. Let's see. Ringo Starr.
That is correct. Out of the band.
He was having trouble keeping up at Donington. If you want to know why he's out.
Here's what I don't like. There have been some fan criticisms
It's too loud, Adam. Please. You're putting these things up way too loud.
That Starkey's parts don't always mimic what late drummer Keith Moon originally played. Number one, it's almost impossible because Keith Moon was a lunatic and played the drums like I feel no one has before or since. So, but maybe more to the point, I don't even want that. I don't want somebody doing an exact mimic of what Moon did.
I have
you
a
can
trivia.
do something else.
Trivia question for you.
Yeah.
What was the year of the Who's first final tour? The first tour they ever did that was announced as their final tour.
89.
I think it's earlier.
It is earlier.
I think it's 83.
It's earlier.
79?
82.
Oh, wow.
The first Who final tour was in 1982.
Lord.
43 years ago, the Who did their first final tour. Roger Daltrey, a little scary. He's pretty much lost his hearing, and he's losing his eyesight now.
So I didn't know about the hearing, and he had lost his voice for a while, but I think maybe the same doctor you've seen, Fred, his voice sounded great the last time I saw him, but the eyesight, that's a problem.
Oh, yeah, the voice thing that I made up. Yeah, he might have gone to Dr. Zeidels.
No, I think so.
No, I know.
Oh, I didn't know.
I'm not referring to you
as
the person. Like, I'm giving you the doctor's name, dude. You can ask him. Like, go ask him. Dr. Zeidels.
As I understand, you don't have to ask him. He'll just tell you.
Oh, yeah, he's a fan. He's got a whole, like, it's like walking into the Comedy Store. It's like all these, like, photos. Look, man, he's the greatest. He helped me very much. And he did it since someone from his office was kind enough to reach out. He did it all for free. And until the surgery, if I ever have to have one, that will not be for free, and he does not take insurance. All right, John.
Yes.
Have a great time.
Thank you.
Don't think you will, but I'm hoping I'm wrong.